Welcome to the Dynasty
We're on the screen.
podcast. Wah, wah. Sorry for the 2 week delay, fellas. Life has happened, and it has continued to happen over the last hour and a half as Ben and I sat down today to try and record at a very early time. It's now almost 10 o'clock, and we started down here about 8, but we had some rather mentally challenged issues with the tech. I'm not going to get into that further, but Glenn was very helpful at Riverside. Not. But we figured it out, and we shouldn't have any of those issues moving forward. I'll tell you what, always check your apps and make sure they're updated. That's lesson one, after you check your internet connection. Anywho, we're back. We're excited to finalize the last division, which I think is the best division in the league. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the top 15 quarterbacks, and who knows where this one's going to go. Ben and I are excited to do a long one, and we promise to keep this going pretty much every week from here on out, as long as we don't have life getting in the way. So yeah, 2 hours of working together without killing each other, that's decent. You know, we're a good partnership.
That's probably that's the most frustrated I think that we've ever gotten without.
Well, neither one of us
actually
were to
yelling at
blame.
each other too much.
I think we tried.
I will say this: 2025 is creating an enormous space in hell, where every customer
Well,
service agent will
yeah.
go. Where maybe not the agents, but the people who have designed them to make sure they
Yeah, and AI
intentionally
is not
don't
going to
help
solve
you.
AI is not going to solve customer service issues.
That's
It's
pretty
just
impressive.
a delay tactic for people to not have to have chairs, people in seats that actually can troubleshoot things and solve problems. They basically redirect you to an AI chat that points you to articles that you, if you are a smart person, have already tried to troubleshoot yourself before you even go to the endless hole of customer service these days. So that's just a delay tactic. And then you get someone on the phone that's sitting at a desk in India because it's much cheaper to do that, and they don't actually know how to help people. And they're not really trying to. Yeah, sorry, New Day,
Shout out
if
to our
that
fans
offends
in
you.
India.
It's not that they're not intelligent, but they're not equipped with the actual knowledge to be able to solve a problem past pulling a plug out of a fucking outlet and rebooting your computer.
They're getting paid to be polite and get you off the
Yeah,
phone until you rage quit and
can we
forget to
stop with
cancel your subscription.
hello, have a
and
nice
get
day,
charged
sir. I hope
3
you're doing
years.
very well. My name
There's like
is Johnny. Very nice to meet you. How's your day going so far? Hey, Johnny, let's get to the fucking point, man. Let's get to the point.
my
Yeah.
kids aren't going to college
We have
because
some
of this
major
pod
NFL
not
news to
happening
talk
right
about,
now.
and I don't care about pleasantries. Just say, here, I'm here to help, man. What's your issue? I'm going to solve it. And, reward them if they solve it in under 30 seconds or a minute or 3 minutes. I don't need all the niceties. I don't.
I think one of the most fascinating things that how like people will show kids these days like rotary phones and fax machines to see if they can figure out what it is. Could you imagine showing them what actual
Yeah,
customer
try
service from
walking
the
into a
1990s
Lowe's.
was like? It would be insane. They'd be like, wow, this is how people used to treat people? Like people actually used to give a shit about you having
That's
an
my
issue
that's
and
my
maybe
favorite
trying to help
example
you
is
through
like
it.
I'm not a
It's
handy person. Obviously, that's goes without saying. Probably for those of you who know me decently at this point. But I like to go to Lowe's on a Sunday morning after I stopped at Safeway to get some breakfast stuff, and I don't know what I'm doing, but you go in there and hey, I'd like to find this, and some decrepit
just get some
guy that's
duct
got
tape
his
and look
like
like you're
key
fixing something,
bag
Corey.
crawling next to him in the aisle that I'm in. Hey man, I don't know. I'm like, well, what the fuck is the purpose of your job here then? Like, if you can't help me find the correct screw for the thing that I have in my hand, have you tried ordering it online? What is the point of having people in a store like that? It's like when I was growing up, Menards you go in there and they tell you how to paint, they tell you exactly what to do. I mean, it was just It's night and day difference, man. But that's why we have an immigration problem, I think, sometimes. But
I don't know, man. I'll tell you. I think it's just a generational thing of giving no fucks. It's like, who cares? You're
yeah,
old and I'm
yeah.
young, and
And
fuck off. You
I
can't
try to be
find a
nice. I'm
school.
like,
Who
but
cares?
sometimes I just leave baffled. I'm like, I really don't understand how this is a system. Nobody really wants to help you. They're just trying to get through their day without being disturbed much. Anyway, so let's kick this off. This is long awaited. It's the last division. Uh, I think it's a little bit hard for us, as we were talking, Ben, because we've had a lot that have changed through cuts and final rosters. I mean, I did my rankings on this division almost 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So we are going to try to rank it as if we don't have the information. But obviously, that will, as it does all the teams in the league, drastically make a difference for what overall grades would look like at this point. So, with that being said, our first team that we are going to review is none other than the San Francisco Argonauts. Do you want to go first? I think, again, we're going to stick to the pattern of you do the quarterback, I'll do the quarterback, and so on and so forth, so we can have an enlightening discussion.
Um, yes, that's fine. Do you want me to share this? We've had some requests to share the screen, and we finally tech. I spent some time before we had our lovely customer service journey of trying to figure out how we could be more visually assistant.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
So
show
should
the
I
people the
pull the screen
improvements.
up
Let's
so
show
we
our
can get
fans
to
what they
the
want to see.
roster? SF Argonauts, here we go.
Now, if this boots us out, and then I'm done. I'm giving up.
Look at.
No, I don't think Glenn. I think Glenn's
Do you
sleeping
don't want
now
to call
in
customer
his little
service
cot.
again?
But he probably still has his headphone on though.
He was urgently trying to get away from us. All right, here we go. Trying to get a little bigger. There we go. All right, let's get up
Oh,
here
I
at
had
the top.
freshly squeezed.
Take
Why
it
do I
away,
have
Corey.
freshly squeezed up? That's not right. Oh, freshly squeezed is the first team. We should go to freshly squeezed. I'm sorry, Ben. That was my fault. Can you switch over to freshly squeezed? And Ben is on a freeze right now. I wonder if that has to do with the screen share. I tell you what, guys. Ben and I do our best, but these technical things are sometimes very difficult to overcome. I'm not sure if he's going to load back in. We might have to take a pause. Meanwhile, yep, and Ben's out. So we're going to have to start that all over. Motherfucker. Oh, he's back. I dropped a motherfucker.
Dude, I knew it.
I
I
was
was like,
about ready
wait
to
a
shut it
minute. I was
off.
like, where did the.
And
Right here, guys. Look at that.
I wonder if that has to do with the sharing of
Unexpected
the screen.
error. Well, first of all, if it does, what the fuck is wrong with this
Yeah,
software?
and you had all
It's a very
green on your reports
standardized
of
thing to
internet
do.
connection and
Okay, so
stability and all that. So Anyway, so what an opening.
yeah, I guess we're not gonna.
Yeah, we'll have to
Visualization's
try
on
that
hold
again
for
next
now,
week,
guys.
so
Sorry.
we can get through this. So anyway, we're going to start off with freshly squeezed. Sorry for my 3-minute monologue there that was pointless. Uh, Giants New York quarterback. I gave him a B. The reason being is cheap contract. I think there's potential here for this to move up to a B plus relatively quickly. I liked what I've seen from Jackson Dart. Not a Russell Wilson fan, but it is a cheap contract at $1.20. It's locked in for 4 years. As a nice rookie that seems promising, and Jameis is competent. As a fantasy quarterback, he's actually pretty fun. Russell might move the needle a little bit, but overall, I couldn't give it. None of them are a top 15 ranked quarterback, so I give him a B.
Hey man, I'm in the same boat, a little B minus action. Just everything you said is just like where's the real upside right now? There's not a lot. I guess if Jackson Dart is him, maybe, but yeah, I think maybe long term it'll be fine, right? If Jackson Dart is good, but like let's say Russell's average and it just fucks off for a year, and then you have to wait till next year to find out if he's good or not. That would be a real bad
Yeah, I
scenario,
think
right?
Russell's out after 6 games,
No
but five or
thanks.
six, depending on how many wins they have after that point. But they could easily. The Giants might not be there that bad. Their defense looks pretty good too. So I don't know if they're competitive.
Dart looked good in preseason, and like New York, man, they're not gonna like his performances in the offseason and preseason probably like to your point probably get
Right.
like cost Russ like 3 games of leash, right? So it's like probably 6 instead of 9. Like now people are gonna be
But
like
the Giants could
3 and
easily win.
3,
They
get him
could
out of
easily
here.
win
Like I
week
don't
one
know. I don't
against
know
the
what the number
Commanders.
is, but
That game is a
absolutely, especially those division games and those. I mean, those that
yeah.
division's always. It's like kind of like our division, for the most part.
That's why the
Anyone
division
can win those divisions any
reviews take
given
about
Sunday
two
all the
hours
time.
because we just spent 10 minutes on freshly squeezed the first ranking of QB. So we're going to move on to the running back position. I gave that position an A. I love it. I love the fact that he has two legitimate studs in McCaffrey, Montgomery. Obviously, McCaffrey goes back to the pool. Montgomery was extended, can be tagged. I think he's a very, very solid running back and will be for a few more years. And then he's got some young talent. It's unfortunate that Jonathan Brooks just can't seem to stay healthy with his draft capital involved. But I don't mind him being rostered and seeing what happens with him in the next year. And then Baishal Tutin obviously was a high draft pick. I didn't love that pick. It doesn't seem like he's, unless they trade one of the other ones, that he's going to be a dominant, touch person this year. But some upside there. And then I think Damian Pierce has a pulse with Taj Brooks as a rookie being what I think is the backup to Chase Brown. So I think it's a very, very solid running back room with a mixture of legitimate studs and some depth with young rookies.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if Jonathan Brooks was
Yeah, if
like
he was Rico
a
Dottle.
thing, you know,
I'm not,
the the re- yeah, just like coming back in 8 games and going to be a backup. I mean, this would be like super super sexy. It still is, man. Like, man, Montgomery McCaffrey with like a lot of waiting in the wings, right? Like Damian Pierce,
he's got to be two right now.
I don't know. Like I'm thinking like, dude, nobody's healthy. I saw there's a couple teams who had like one running back like doing all the reps. I think the Bears did too with Swift. Like everyone's banged up and taking a day off, and it's like there's one guy out there getting all the reps.
What
And
was your
it's like
grade?
Jesus. But yeah, I
Hmm,
liked it.
interesting.
My grade was an A minus. I don't know. I don't know why
Yeah,
the A minus was there. I think I was really down on Tatoon. Um,
I
but
don't know.
like
That's an A real.
he doesn't need much to go wrong to get an opportunity, and he's probably going to be good enough. And he's definitely what they want for the future. Like I just think
I mean, I can see where you're
he probably
saying
won't
it's an
get a
A
ton
this
this
year
year.
with an A minus question
But
mark or a B plus question mark moving into next year because McCaffrey's gone. But that's a 100% A for me this year. And then it depends on Tootin and
yeah, hey man, I made these grades probably two
that's
weeks
fair.
ago, and I thought less
Very
of a
very
couple of
strong
these
running
guys.
back room.
So
Where there's a trouble
there you
is
go.
the D ranking I gave to his wide receiver room. Um, I just don't see anything above a wide receiver 3 or 4 in the wide receiver room. So, in my opinion, that's going to be 3 or 4 positions that are at a deficit every week. So I gave him a D. I don't really want to talk individually about each one of them, but yeah, not a
No, no need. I mean, I gave him a C minus. Like in the end, like Tank Dell should be okay, but he's probably there's a lot of mouths to feed at this point. Like I mean, he'll come back at some point, but I don't know where he's going to come in when he does, and so like there's not really anyone
Calvin
else there
Austin could be
getting a
3.
lot of points, right? Calvin
Yeah,
Austin might
if they
have
don't bring anybody else in.
maybe, you know, yeah, Roman Wilson's looking a little better than they thought. So he'll get reps, but like that 147 he's got right there, will he get back to it this year? Like that would be like
Yeah,
almost an optimistic
he's the only piece that I would
point total,
really
wouldn't
want
you
to roster.
say?
I just don't. I don't know how Tank Dell comes back to any sort of form, and then all the
Yeah,
competition they brought in with the 2 rookies.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
got that.
well,
He's kind of
Stroud
like got
loves
to get a
him,
new
I
team,
think, and
right?
they obviously but he had a horrific injury, man. So I think it's a long shot for full recovery.
Oh. He's got
Yeah.
5 years to figure out where he's going the next time,
Onto
or
the tight end
get another
position, I
tight end.
also have
But
that as a
it's tough.
D. I do like Oronde Gatson as a project, but even they themselves have said he's a project. I think he could get some action as early or as late this year, maybe. But other than that, there's not a starter. He's got 2 free agents and a guy on injured reserve. So to me, it's just a D room with a little bit of promise in Gats or Ronde or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I got him a D plus. It's kind of like didn't want to give him a back to back D's. I felt a little bad, but now it's really not looking good after everything because he needs him. First of all, he doesn't have anyone else besides him because of the way things are. Like Everett never got a team, and
Yep.
Jordan's on the
Yep.
IR. Like, yeesh, that's tough. But even beforehand, even if I don't know, somebody would have hung out somewhere, like nobody's getting relevant snaps enough for you to
I
get
have
points,
a,
and
a C for his
that's a
defensive
problem.
tackles. We've talked about this a lot. He does have cheap contracts. He has Reed. I'm not seeing much else after that necessarily. So it's just an average defensive tackle room.
Yeah, not much to add there. I mean, I have him as a C plus. I'm probably a little less high on Jaron Reed this year than I normally would be. I think they're super stacked in that line, but it's decent. Jawad Ward possibly. I just I don't know. It's like it's okay. No studs. I don't think Jaron Reed's gonna like come back to like his best years that he's had.
All
So
right. I also
that's
have
why I'm
him
at C
with a
plus.
C for his defensive ends. Just looking at it, there's just Demarcus Lawrence, a possibility to have a bigger year this year, but 1 year auction player that can be tagged, getting a little bit long in the tooth. I don't see any studs. I see a bit of depth, but that's to me just a very average defensive end room.
Yeah, I agree. I also think Demarcus Lawrence could be good this year. But at best, he's probably going to be, sitting with a couple guys hoping to get in the hundreds, and then everyone, there's not much else there. So it's just, you know, the best case
I
scenario. You
also
can
have
get
a
them to
C
trade you.
for his linebacker room. He has some depth. Contracts are good. He has Caden Ellis, who I think is a stud at a very, very good price. Other than that, it's just a bunch of meh for me. he can start three guys, but I don't know if he's going to score the points in the league that other B and A teams have at their disposal. So to me, it's just a very meh, average C room.
Yeah, I had a B minus. I probably could have gone a C here. It's probably being generous. The Caden Ellis is good. I just thought he had a lot of guys that are, Perriman and I think Perriman's gonna start, man. Like, so that's two base starters, and then some of these guys I not to get into what we know now, but like in general, they just are depth pieces that can get a next man up shot. So I didn't want to ding them too much for having, you
Yeah, for
know,
sure.
guys on rosters at least, and he's got chips and chairs. That's a linebacker. Sometimes that's all you're hoping for. Do I have the LB 3 or 4, or the guy that'll fill in once these injuries start happening? Can I get 5 games out of one of these guys? And he's got some of those guys, so
For
that's
the
that's helpful.
cornerback room, I gave him a B. Um, I don't think Kadur Kahu was on injured reserve when I made that ranking. But he has relatively cheap contracts. He's got enough guys on there. I think Rasul Douglas just got traded too, right? Miami. Okay. I saw his name pop
Yeah, to
up.
Miami.
He's got some guys that are going to score points, not complete studs at the position, but I'm okay with the room. He can start two guys, and he has some flexibility there.
Yeah, man. I mean, like this is interesting because he just ended up having a big stacked uh, Miami
Yeah, he
cornerback
does have
room out of
three. I didn't even
nowhere.
realize that.
Um, yeah, Noah could get traded, and because I think they were shopping him around, because I think they're too deep, and he's not going to get snaps, but he's good, and he could be a third cornerback on another team. So, I didn't give him a very good grade on this. I gave him a C plus. But like I said, I can see some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe that's a plus. It could get to like a B. Like he could get some things falling his way. I think the Cater Kahu injury, if I'm not mistaken, is just one of those stashing for 4 games because he's like dealing with something that's nagging, and it's just like a raw. There's so many things in Corey. We don't have to go on a big tangent, but it's something that the league will need to take seriously at some point. Like the we'll see this in all these rosters. How many IR spots are popping up on guys who are getting these short term IRs or stashed, and then if they need it, they'll cut them with injury settlements and stuff like that. It's just a very new game, right? Like you see a lot of guys who would maybe miss a game or two, and they're like, "Man, we want to keep this guy the 52 cut down. Let's like stash this guy, let him rest a little
Yeah,
extra. We'll move stuff around, etc." So the eye isn't as like devastating as it used to be, but it's also like so undefined as far as the NFL is using it that it really makes it difficult for us to ever know. Does that eye stay on forever? In 3 weeks, are they like, let's injury settle for this guy, and then all of a sudden you eat the cap? Like it's a really tricky thing, the IR position, and I think we should on another pod have like a pretty big discussion about it because I think by next year we should
yeah.
try and figure out some sort of way
I
to
think that's
like
a pod, and again, I've thrown
address
out
this
some
issue.
suggestions to Dan, and we need to work with his schedule. Obviously, we record on Wednesday nights, but that's it's been brought to
Yeah.
the table on the message board. A lot of the things that have been proposed make a lot of sense. I think it's just, and it is an issue because I've always been very cautious about, okay, if have a guy going IR, you kind of know if it's long term, or if it's a high sprained, high ankle sprain that you gotta, and I don't ever go over my cap in those situations. But when you have more of these popping up, and you don't know when they're going to come off, and you can't really forecast that. It does put you in a situation where if you are digging into your cap a little bit, thinking, well, I can make a move, and then they come back, and then you're kind of out of disposition of not strength because someone's going to know that you just need to move cap to be able to set a lineup, and I don't think that's fair either. So there is a solution out there. It's managing of another Excel spreadsheet probably. Which is difficult. It creates more work, but at the same time, we have to mirror what they're doing in the NFL and have ways out of these things, just like the NFL does. So,
Yeah, and I think it just is a cap management thing, and it's just like especially to help out like some new guys, like it's easy to just say, okay, well, I'm gonna save the cap of all my
right,
IR guys in case they ever come back, right? But if there's guys that just get injuries settled and you have to pull them off in order
yeah,
to set a lineup, right? And that happens at a time where, you're like, oh, this guy's got a torn Achilles. And it's like all of a sudden it's week 10 and
it's
they're
a
like,
good
oh,
point.
they just injury settled so they can get another IR spot. He's gone. And
Yeah,
now it's an FA. And you're like, whoa, wait, like an Achilles is next year. And now all of a sudden you're sitting there with activating him. And then, that happened
yeah.
to Roman's team that one year. It's happened to a couple teams. And it was like in question of whether you should allow people to set lineups. So then what people started doing instead was they'll like, I'll
Yeah.
set my lineup for the whole playoffs in case that happens. And then it like happened. And then
No, it's an
anyways,
important one.
we're way
We're
off
gonna bounce
topic,
around a little
but
bit because we have so much to talk about today. So
yeah.
we'll keep popping in with some new discussion points as we go. So overall, oh, I'm sorry for the safety room. I gave him a C as well.
Safety grade, yeah.
Jeremy Chin's awesome, obviously a stud, and then after that, there's just not much there. So I'd love to have Jeremy Chin. He's on a franchise tag. He's going to have to be, he's expensive too, but he's worth it, I think. But after that, there's just not enough pieces there to, give him above a C grade.
Yeah, none of those guys are really starting. They need injuries to get roles. So when you only have one
Right.
guy, even though albeit it's a very good guy, right? I think they have a C plus for him because of that. Like I mean, Jeremy Chan, if he has another year in this heavy box rolls that he thrives in, like he can get up to
Yeah.
200 points. So it's almost like two guys, but
Yep.
that's
Absolutely. Overall, I
like
have him
the
at a
high end.
2.61.
I have 3.1. I wasn't as harsh. I gave him less D's than you did. I was a little nicer. I think I was a nicer all around when I did these grades
Yeah,
two
my
and a half
grades are
weeks
still the
ago or
same as they
whatever
were,
it
but
was
just, I
at
mean,
this point.
I think it's obviously he's pretty stacked at running back, and the rest of it is just pretty basic bitch. So, uh, anyway, moving on to the San Francisco Argonauts. Very solid team from our buddy that he took over, and I think he's done well.
Well,
Yep.
Roman's team.
Kansas City Chiefs starting it off with a bang. Gave him an A. Spoiler alert: I have him as my number one dynasty quarterback, and I think he's going to have a revival year. I think he's going to throw the fucking ball, and I think we're going to see an angry Patrick Mahomes that lights it up this year. So to me, he's the best in the world, and I don't care how much he costs. I would have him above anybody else. Now, fantasy wise, will he score 500 points like an Allen or Jackson? I'm not sure, but I know I can trust him every week, and I think he's going to put up better fantasy stats this year. So he's an A.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm probably more optimistic on your side as well. It's on the expensive end at $56, but I think it's fine. You know, Eh, it's like Patrick Mahomes. And I just think, like, of everyone who you could talk about injury and decline and stuff like that, man, who would you be more like sure that
Yeah.
it's just going to be
Well, he
Patrick
doesn't run the
Mahomes?
football and as much as the other
Yeah,
two,
I mean,
and even Burrow, right? Like
yeah,
probably runs all more in Burrow, but he seems to always protect himself. He's never in danger that much, and I just feel like he's
Yeah, I gave an A- just because of the contract not
yeah.
being like a super steal. You know, like it's not $1, but that's really
For the
splitting
running
hairs
back
as
room, I
Packers
gave
fans.
him a C. I love Braylon Allen this year. I think he has the potential to be a breakout candidate, especially if they move on from, um, gosh, what's his name? Brees Hall. I think there's a real potential that he could be a 180 point scorer. He's super young, 21 years old, great contract. I think that's a very, very strong piece. And then outside of that, there's just nothing there other than guys that are on active rosters that can get you rinky-dink points every week if you need you're in a pinch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I probably may be a little harder on this
Well, I gave him a
room,
C,
like
so
a
you're
C
better. Yeah, I
plus.
mean,
I don't. I really like Braylon, but like I really like Braylon Allen, and I think I don't know. I did a lot of best balls, and I probably got him in every one of them. You know, like I think by the end of the year, it's going to be like they'll be figuring out how to. You'll know it'll be apparent that like
yeah.
Brees Hall will be moving on to another team, right? I think Braylon Allen is primed to like be a guy. He looked so good in camp. He looks like the tape you see of him. He looks crazy, and he was really good, man. The only reason he's like a little downplayed was because it's like he's behind Brees Hall, but Brees Hall keeps getting dinged up. Like it'll be a really interesting year because the variants in that backfield, I think, for me, are super big. It's going to depend on what the coach is patient with, what he wants. Like I could see Brees Hall kind of like really getting pulled back and Allen taking over, and then I could see Brees Hall just being what we remember Brees Hall being. So it's one of my more like interesting backfields that I have no personal skin in. It's just I have some fantasy guys on both sides. I have some Brees Hall. I have some Allen. I'm like really
Yeah, I mean,
interested in. So
he
probably
just has
inflate a
Braylon Allen,
variable with
who's
that.
right now at least a 1A or 1B, and then he has four guys that are warm bodies that are pretty much fourth on
Yeah,
their roster. So to me, that's a C ranking all day. Wide receiver room's an interesting one.
yeah,
I gave him a B
for sure.
plus, which is probably has more to do with Christian Kirk on a transition tag because he's gone after this year. I'm not sure exactly what his role is going to be, but he does have two legit studs in Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is going to have a much better year. And I don't think he had as bad as year as everybody likes to say. Obviously, he scored 200 points as a rookie. That's pretty freaking good. I think it was just the draft capital and everybody thinking he was the next Jerry Rice coming into the league, and he didn't really play to that standard in his rookie season. But I think he's going to be better this year. And then Devontae Smith is a legit one on someone's roster, and I think he's could equally produce 201 or more points this year. So great 1-2 punch there. Just not enough depth after that to give him an A ranking, but I love those two pieces. And then, having Kirk this year will be, I think, somewhat valuable from a week to week standpoint where he could have some games, but then he moves on after this year. So that's why I stuck with a B overall, but more of a B plus.
Yeah, I was right there too. My grade is a B plus, and it's just those are two fantastic dynasty assets on rookie contracts, and that just goes a long way as a base. And Christian Kirk could he get pushed out a lot by the end of the year? Maybe, but man, that threesome's going to be pretty fucking good most of the year for him if there's no injuries. So David Moore, he's probably going to get some snaps too. Thielen getting out there. They cut Wenfo, so like I don't know, man. Like it's good enough room, man. Like and especially when you look
Yep.
forward, he's always going to have those two guys as the base, and it's like you keep taking some darts, getting some wide receivers in the draft, or maybe a couple guys. Like man, like all of a sudden starts really filling out that roster. We've seen a lot of other teams be able to do that. So having cheap young rookie contract studs at the receiver position really sets you up
Agreed.
for good when it comes
I
to
think it's just
fantasy.
also having five guys in the room with, really three of them that are confident starters week to week. I'd like to see six or seven in that room. I mean, obviously he's carrying one,
Yeah,
two, three, four, five, six times some points.
just a
Give
returner or
me
two to
a
like
potential to
get some
six
bye
points.
weeks and
Yeah,
some injury
exactly.
stuff. Yeah, that's why we can't get him to
Tight end
the
room,
we
I
can't get him
have
to the A
him
for
as
that
a
reason. Yeah.
B as well. Probably more like a B minus. There's depth there, but not really any studs. Conklin could be the guy, perhaps in the Chargers for a year. Same thing for Higby, but they both have younger, kind of upstart kind of guys behind them, and uh, when the Conklin's also dealing with Disley this year, and then the rookie that we already talked about, I can't pronounce his name, Anande or whatever it is, and then Higby, they have the rookie Ferguson behind him. We'll see. He's looked pretty good through camp. Depth there. He has a couple of warm bodies, but I'm just a little uncertainty as who's going to actually have a role this year that's going to be productive.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with you that there's like in theory, there's some vets in there with Conklin and Higby, and they should get some production. We don't know how much they could be counted on, but like, he'll probably start those two guys to start the season, and then there's some depth pieces behind it. I like Elijah Higgins a lot, and he looks really good when he came in for McBride when he was hurt and stuff. So like, uh, first of all, full disclosure, I would be extending that guy. You got the cap, you might as well do it. Make sure, I know tight ends that are backups kind of feel like tough to be, oh, do I want to extend for these $20? You do. They take too long to develop. I mean, Elijah Higgins could
Yeah, I
go to
mean
the
Tyler
next
Conklin
team
was
and be a
in the
boss.
auction
Like,
for 60
so
bucks, and he's a backup theoretically, or always has been. So there's your point. You get Elijah Higgins on a flyer for
exactly.
20 bucks for 3 years or whatever extension, like, and he could hit.
Tight ends are tough, man. You always have to extend them. You always got to be patient, and that's coming from a guy who never does either, and is paid the price at the tight
Moving
end
on to
position
the
because
defensive
of it.
tackle position, I gave him an A for this. He has what I like to see. He has relatively cheap contracts at the position, and I think he has two or three studs in there with four people that are going to score points week to week. So I like the room.
Yes, solid room. Puna Ford in that spot with the Rams, like he could actually have a very good season too. So he's got him, Jalen Carter, Ed Oliver, and Grover Stewart. Like that foursome, you probably in a
Right.
weird way are just
Yeah.
going to be like, I don't know who to pick this week. You know what I mean? Like if there's a chance they could all be very good. Very interested in see if
Agreed.
Jalen Carter
Yep.
takes that next jump too.
Uh, de-
So yeah, great room,
Defense
great
end,
room.
I have a
I gave it an A as well.
B ranking. I've always loved T-Ron. It just hasn't quite gotten there. I kind of like that addition in the auction. Herbig is a little bit banged up and not sure about his health right now, but he was an absolute stud on a very cheap rookie deal that is now extended. I thought he was very good last year until he got hurt. Nolan Smith is ascending, and then Uchi's a pretty decent depth piece with Nolan Smith, obviously a promising young player as well. So I gave him a what did I give him? I gave him a B plus, but for the ranking purposes, I gave him a B just because there's a little bit of uncertainty in some of these guys and how they're going to progress this year.
Yeah, I mean, I got him at a B minus, which is pretty interesting. I think that's because Nolan Smith is the only real
Yeah,
guy, but man, Nolan Smith is a great dynasty asset. I mean, like I've tried to get him everywhere. I think like It's funny, guys like this. It's like you're like, "Ooh, I can get him before his breakout year," and like everyone's like, "No way, I'm trading this guy. He's breaking out this year." So it's like you almost it's hard to get these guys in these leagues. You always think you can be patient, but most of the time you got to draft them, And so and Herbig's the same way, man. Like he looks really good. There's going to be some like space eventually in there for him to get serious playing time. Um, you know. So like, but I again like I think the rest of the guys. I don't know if Uche is going to play much, and I'm with you, Tyrone. As an idea is awesome, but as an like what he's been able to do so far hasn't been great.
All right.
So
This one's a little bit
he
more
won.
tough because of what we talked about with some of the recent transactions. Josie Jewell getting cut, I don't think was on my list or waived. I'm sorry. Originally, I have him as a B plus, but that was before the Josie Jewell thing. I do love the activation that he made on Jay Higgins. Obviously, I have him in all my other leagues. Was trying to find a way to find those draft picks to do it myself. Free agent from Iowa, obviously, balled out during the preseason. I think he has legit chance to be a contributor not only this year but moving forward. So I love that use of the picks to go get him. Tremaine Edwards, I think is a stud. Going to have a good year in that Chicago defense this year. Kendricks, wait and see on that one. I mean, obviously, previously the stud, pretty unsure about what his future looks like. Someone's
Yeah.
going to need him if he can fill a gap if someone gets injured. So, um, as of where it was when we did this, I had him at a B plus, but overall for the grade, I gave him a B.
Yeah, I had a B there as well. Very similar. I mean, I knew Josie Jewell had gotten cut back then, but I just figured he'd get another team, just wait for like these cut down dates. Like it's hard to assume that people aren't getting jobs. Like Josie Jewell was good, and it's like Eric Kendricks was good. I get he's old, but like you figure by the time we're getting to cut day like we did now, and when we're making these grades, it's hard to ding these guys when you know they're probably destined to get another team, and they probably still are, to be totally honest, right? And so Edmonds as a base was good, but we're trying not to review what they are now and more what they were when we did the grades when we were supposed to do this
Uh,
a couple weeks ago. So
Quarterback
there it
room, I
is.
gave him an A. I love the room. Absolutely in love with Cooper. I have good DeJeans. He's a stud. I think that point total is going to go up this year. I think he has a chance to even be involved in the return game more. Um, I just love the depth, contracts. He has two or three guys that he can legit start every week and get more points than he probably can get at the safety position in some spots. So, A for the cornerback room.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's as good as you're going to get as far as cornerbacks are. Lots of depth. Everyone's going to play. McCreary's in contract year, so he could go back to his like buck 80 point form. He was really good 2 years ago, and was hurt last year. So I like that. There's a lot of good guys. Cooper DeJean, no talking. Like he's got that cheat code where he returns
No,
kicks, and we haven't seen a full season of that yet, right? Like we saw a little bit of it, and he didn't really start even getting. Man, he was playing like
dude,
45%
he's a
of
stud.
snaps all
He's
the
a
way
stud.
until
I mean,
like
he's
very end of the year. So
just a little side note here. He
absolute
does have
stud.
Devin Neal on his
Yeah.
taxi squad. We didn't mention that, and then also has Kalil Mullings with the news of Tajay Spears being on the IR. Those are a couple decent stashes on the old taxi squad for him to be.
Maybe that's what. Maybe you know what, Corey. That's probably where the. That's probably. Oh, yeah, we only have a C plus. That is. You're right. I probably discounted both those
Yep.
guys, but now you cannot with the newest news and their preseason tape. So, not changing the grade. But full disclosure, I would not be grading that as a C room with those two guys.
Yeah,
I
it might
would
be a B minus room
probably
depending on
give
how
them a
those
little
guys
more
shake
benefit
out,
of the
but
doubt.
it's still a little shaky. Still a little shaky.
Yeah,
Um,
a
all
little
right,
hot.
moving on to the safeties.
Yeah.
I have him at an A in the safety room. Depth, not expensive contracts. Justin Simmons not being signed, I think, is kind of a little bit baffling to me at this point. But I probably would have it as an A minus, I guess, at this point. But I'm going to stick with my grade at an A. Hooker and Cisco are decent starting safeties, and then I like the depth with Simmons in there. So, and then he's got a couple other fillers. So, probably a favorable A.
That's pretty favorable. This is one of the biggest discrepancies I think we've had. I have a C plus. I actually don't like the room. I think both. I think Cisco actually maybe he's starting. But when I was doing this, it was very looking like he wasn't. And then Hooker should be okay. I think he's still got his job, but I knew Justin Simmons even back then was falling out.
I thought he was in
Because
Denver,
Justin Simmons was on Green Bay,
but
wasn't
I
he?
can't. He was one of the top free
I
agent
can't remember.
safeties out there when
We'll
before
see. I
the
mean, maybe
preseason
it's
and camp started.
okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of someone else. Anywho, I wasn't as convinced on the positivity of the upside of it, but I think I'm probably too harsh, knowing he's good to have some good rotational guys. But if Simmons were
Well,
to get
maybe
a
I was a
team, it
little
would, it
bit
would
nice
be
on that, but
contained.
it'll
But
balance out with the grade that we gave him on the RB room without the taxi squad guys included. So overall, I have him at a
there you
4.14.
go. There you go.
So solid team. Anything above a 4 is pretty good. Solid, I think. So good job, Argonauts. Thanks for keeping the name. Hey, and if you're in the Bay Area, man, I'm 50 minutes from San Francisco. Let's have a coffee or a beer or lunch.
I have him at 3.85. He actually scored super low for me. Maybe I really screwed him over on that safety room, but I'm gonna stick with it because it's just tough to know what I was. My analysis was super fresh a few weeks ago on what the news was current there, what the battles were happening then, and it's almost like
There's been a
10
lot
years
of
ago.
movement
That's how much
for
football
sure.
has
All
happened.
right, we're moving on. We're gonna keep it a little bit more snappy, but still do our due diligence on the review here for Prestige Worldwide Incorporated. I have him as an A for his quarterback room. I love Stroud. I think Stroud is super talented. The $2 contract I'm not concerned about. I think he's tag worthy, and I have him as a top 10 quarterback in Dynasty, so he has an A for me right now and into the future.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Um, because I'm not that high on Stroud,
Interesting.
even though I gave him an A. Well, I gave him an A then, and I think when we first did the top 10 of our quarterbacks, um, that I was looking at it back then, that is one thing I have adjusted recently. Spoiler alert, we'll get to that. But and we'll talk about it more when we get there. But the Texans' offensive line is going to be so bad, it's going to make like what Justin Fields and Caleb Williams were dealing with in Chicago look like a walk in the park. Like that's how bad they are. And so it's like that's not Stroud's fault. He's good, but even if you're really good, if you're getting your shit kicked in nonstop,
Yeah,
we
he didn't
see
have a
it
very good
it
offensive line
doesn't go
last
well.
year either,
So I think
and that was the fall off for sure.
they're worse this year. They're significantly worse. Not only that, they had their best rated offensive lineman back when they did like the O line ranking a couple weeks ago, I think it was. They were 32nd, and they said their best offensive lineman was Cam Robinson, who was like an emergency left tackle who's not very good for the Vikings last year. And they are shopping him around because they're just like, well, we're just going to try this rookie because they realize he's not good. So they're going to have a rookie left tackle going against Jared Verse week one. Good luck. It's going to be fun. I am telling you right now, I am way down on the Texans because of that offensive line now. It's as bad as an offensive line in the last 10 years as you could
Yeah,
put
I
in front
think
of
the
them.
only counter
I'm
to
not
that
kidding.
I would say is that he might throw the ball 45 times a game. I don't know what they're going to do on the ground. I mean, they're so banged up at running back that he's going to have to throw the ball a shit ton. So that should translate for fantasy points. And I think they'll have, yeah, yeah,
Sometimes it does, sometimes it
yeah.
doesn't. We've
So
seen
I
it,
don't know.
Corey.
There's some
You
swing
know,
there for sure.
but I like him as a talented player. But like again, in our quarterback rankings, it was next 3 years. Who would you want? And I'm like, they're not fixing that offensive line for. They're not going to fix it next year. You can't overhaul an offensive line that bad in 1 year. So it's like, okay, cool. By year three, he's got an offensive line
Yeah,
that's
that's
competent.
fair. I
What's
mean,
happening to
he
him?
had such a
You know, can't understand like how a defensive minded coach would just be like, oh,
it's funny though,
let's just
like
not address the offensive
you
line.
know, he had such an amazing rookie season, and everybody was so high on him. And yeah, he regressed bad
Their
last year,
line
but you
was
don't hear
better.
people like talking about him in the same regards as a Caleb Williams and what he was dealing with, or other people, because he was out the gate so much stronger. But I mean, if you look at, I don't want to get into it, but you look at the numbers, and it's just like Caleb Williams' rookie year was not as bad as everybody says it was, based off of what he was dealing with. You know, he threw for 3,500 yards. He had 5 and 6 interceptions. Like he had anyway. I just think I can't wait for the season to start. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree. Sorry for the long-winded
It is
like
what it is. All right, moving
quarterback
on
talk
to the
before
running back room.
quarterback
I
talk,
gave
but
him a C plus, but landed at a C. Blake Corum number 2, Kenneth Gainwell right now number 2, which will not hold, and then a bunch of Jags behind him. So unless there was something on the taxi squad that I missed, that might have.
he does have
Okay,
stuff
so
on the
that
taxi
might
squad,
bump him
like
up to
quite
me,
a
and I
lot.
might have to make it. Yeah, Donovan Edwards, I like James Jordan, and then yeah, Scadaboo. So he has a B room. I'm changing that. I don't know why I had a C plus, but yeah, that's a B room for me with a probably almost a plus in there. So
Yeah, I have him as a B minus, but like man, like a lot's kind of changed. Nah, not that much, right? Like Scottaboo was dinged up when we were doing these rankings. He's still gonna be good, right? He's got cap, so he can activate these guys when they're ready. I heard great things about Dylan Lobby this year. He fell apart and kind of did nothing last year, but I don't think that's going to be a sunk cost. I think he has a good chance to like be a much more a better backup than even Mostert. I think he's going to be relevant on spelling Genty, and
yeah,
and he's doing special teams, kick return guy. Woof, take it right. Jordan James, I mean, he was looking good. I was would like. I think I liked him a little more when before the B Rob trade, but they kept him. And then Donovan Edwards and Rocket Morris were two guys that I was like super intrigued by because they were undrafted free agents and they signed with teams where they didn't have a good path. But they were so talented. It was like, man, if they're just show like they're good in preseason, they'll get another team. And both of them got claimed off of waivers, right? Meaning they got to be signed to the actual roster on their new teams. Uh, I'm blanking where Edwards went, but I know Rocket went to the Cleveland. They both ended up to spots. Did he go to Houston? I can't remember. But they both got to spots that was like, oh, there's definitely a better line of playing time there.
he
And
looked good
I
in the
thought Edwards
preseason,
was
man.
really good.
Donovan Edwards. Yep. So actually landed with the Washington Commanders, which I think is a wonderful landing spot. Yeah, I think he could easily be
Yeah, yeah.
a pounder and get some early action this season and be on the active roster for them. Depending on how he competes with like Chris Rodriguez, who's kind of a jag, if you ask me. I liked watching him during the preseason. I don't know why I was watching a lot of Jets games, but they seem to be playing their starters a bit more than others, and he kind of flashed on the screen for me. So I like his landing spot. All right, did you
Yeah, for
give a
sure.
grade on that?
I had a B minus, man, but like the way we talked all that up, I'd
Yeah, it's
probably
definitely
even
it's
top
definitely a
that
B
up a
plus.
little, B plus. I think. I
Yeah,
think
especially if
there's a lot
Scadaboo's
of
the
potential
guy.
there.
He's got a lot of young talent, so definitely an ascending B on the ranking. On the wide receiver room, this one's tough for me. I have this one as a B plus too. I really want to give it an A. I like Bude, Jawan Jennings. I'm not sure what's going on with his health and his contract, but he was a legit stud last year, and there's just not very many healthy wide receivers in San Francisco. So I see that as a solid wide receiver too. And then Puka Nakua, obviously, we've talked about it. Someone that good, depending on what's happening with Stafford, who seems to be kind of ramping up now. His health is a little bit of a concern, but Jimmy's a decent backup in the league. Like I think having him on your rosters, like we talked about with other stud wide receivers, almost like having two on any given Sunday. And then he has depth pieces with Van Jefferson,
Yeah.
and then he has Christian Watson, who is never healthy on his IR, but he seems to be ahead of schedule as far as getting back on the field. And I think Green Bay could really use him in that offense when he gets back if he can stay healthy. So I have him as a B plus just because there's a bit of uncertainty, but I'm really more leaning towards an A minus.
Yeah, I have him as a B plus too, and I think that there's two things. Juwan Jennings is going to be a little longer than expected, right? So he's not going to lose him, but Van Jefferson really got a role much bigger than I thought he was going to get in Tennessee. So like he's probably wide receiver 3 to 4. They got a lot of young guys there, but I could see him sneakily being pretty good. And yeah, it's not quite an A room for me, so I
It's
put him
it's
at a
damn
B
close to an
plus.
A
But
room.
Puka Nakua, having Puka Nakua is always just nice. Very
Yeah,
very cheap price too. $25,
I like
$25
Kareem.
Puka Nakua, make you holla. I don't think you're allowed to
You
say
can say
that.
whatever you want, Ben. Nobody's listening. Uh,
Just kidding.
all right.
I intend
For the
to.
tight end room, I gave him. Man, I was very nice here. I gave him an A. I like Kate. Okay, I like Dawson
I did
Knox
too.
as a
I got
number
an A
two. I like
minus.
Kate Otten and his ascending upside. And then he's got some depth with the more Cox and John Bates. So I gave it an A. It's probably more like an A minus room for me, but he's got two legit guys that he can play. They seem to love Dawson Knox, and depending on what happens with Davidson and
Yeah.
Kincaid this year, they might revert back to Dawson Knox being the guy. So and Kate Otten's sneaky good, especially in offense.
Yeah. Kate Otten's funny because like he was like he came out of nowhere and then like I think people drafted him kind of high last year.
Yeah,
And now I notice nobody wants him. And I was like, what? I'm like, he disappointed last year with 152 points at the tight end position. I don't get it. I'm looking forward to this year where there's a lot of injured wide receivers. Like he should eat, man. I think he's gonna be really good. Like if it was like, oh, Kate Otten made top 10 tight ends this year, would you be like, that's crazy? You'd have been like, well, yeah, Baker Mayfield.
Spoiler
He's
alert! He's in.
pretty good.
He's high in my dynasty rankings, Mister Baker. Uh, Defensive tackle room, I gave him
Yes.
an A. I've been very kind to Prestige Worldwide, but I like the room. Again, cheap contracts. I like Sanders. I like Dexter a lot this year, and Wharton is a ascending young guy, and then he's got other depth in Shelby, so I gave him an A.
Yeah, I probably was too harsh with my B grade, but I believe it's definitely better than average. He doesn't have like clear cut studs in my opinion where you're like, yeah, dude, that's a guy, but he's
Yeah,
got
he's
good
got
depth, and the
$17 spent on
contracts
his
are very
D tackle.
reasonable. So
I think that's
yeah. So B, I gave him a B. It's I'm a little picky in the
defensive
D
end. I gave
tackles.
him
So.
an A. Um, I like the depth. I like Rousseau. I like Mafe, Abajo. I'm not down on. He has Jalen Phillips, depending on his health coming back. So there's a lot of depth there. Not cheap on some of the guys, but he has legit guys that he can start. And Dante Fowler shit. So I think that's three guys that he can start every week and get considerable points from. So I give him an A.
Jalen Phillips has been looking good. It looks like he might be back on track to being a beast again. He had that really bad injury, so we'll see if he is. This is an excellent room. I have an A minus. Same thing. It's just like you can't look at that much talent. Boy Mafe, it's just like a lot of talent. A lot. There's going to be a nice little floor for a lot of these guys, and great ceiling potential, right? So I like the room a lot. It's really nice. I mean, he's got two. He could trade
Yep,
two guys tomorrow and still
absolutely.
feel great about this room, right?
Not so kind to the linebacker room. I gave him a C. Just a little concerned about the depth there. TJ Edwards is a stud, but outside
Yeah.
of that, I'm just not sure what he's going to do on a week to week basis.
Yeah, I think I had him at a C as well, but I was also assuming that Davis Gaither was going to get like a predominant role. He might actually not now, which is pretty surprising. Which means like, damn, like if he ends up not getting snaps, at this point I just want him like, can he get 60% snaps? Just give me some points because that's a lot of zeros, man. That's all season. And the cupboard's bare. Probably time to go trade one of these frisky little running backs on the taxi squad. With some good camp news, maybe for some support. But yeah, I would be really nervous about the future of this team rolling with that linebacking core at this point. Like I said. Maybe those guys get teams, but they're like for who's available as far as like linebackers are concerned. I think
Fair.
those guys are not at the top of the
Cornerbacks,
list.
I gave him a B, which seems kind of odd. He has, two legit starters in Gardner and Durant. Not a ton of depth there, I think is kind of what I'm faulting him for. And even though Sauce is an amazing talent and a lockdown cornerback, he doesn't score a ton of points. And that's kind of, hard sometimes because some of the best cornerbacks in the league don't necessarily score a ton of points because they don't get the ball thrown their way. They don't make tackles. So great talent, not necessarily great for fantasy. So I gave him a B just because he has three guys that he can start, but he doesn't have enough depth.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny to see big names like that, and you're like, but Sauce Gardner, we'll see. Once upon a time, Byron Murphy was a shutdown corner. Now he's an inside-outside guy, plays a lot of slot. If Sauce ever became that, he would be crazy. Like we've seen that with like Witherspoon and guys like that. If you can get him in the middle of the field, slots, making plays in the pick sixes, but he's an outside shutdown corner for now, so it is what it is.
The safety room, I
Be there
gave
for that
him
run.
an A. Four guys, decent contract. I think something happened to Chauncey Gardner. He got traded to Houston. I don't think that mattered in my rankings. I like his depth. I like the guys. Taylor Rapp just went back to Buffalo or stayed in Buffalo, I think. No, that was Jordan Poyer. Uh, Regardless, he's got the depth. He's
Yeah,
got guys that score
Poyer
points
just
at the
signed there.
position. I gave him an A.
Yeah, very, very difficult room to read. Kramer Curl will be good again. I gave him an A as well. Like, I'm just going to assume out of five guys that he has there who are all, like, good enough to start, but might be the next guy up, if somebody's beating him out, like that, you know, injuries happy at safety, you're going to be able to, like,
Right,
put it
right.
together all year
Overall,
confidently.
I have
So.
him as a 4.8, which seems high.
I have a 4.5. I mean, it's a good team, man. Like, I think, like, what can't be understated is, like you can't, like, I can't give a worse than C grade for that linebacker room,
It could be a
but
D room.
it should almost be. Well, it's really hard to win when you can't, like, if you consistently at a position take multiple zeros week in and week out.
I think he
You have to
has
have
just a
so much
really
star
perfect
power to make
example
up
of a
for it,
balanced
So
team
I
with
get nervous
just
about it.
lacking some studs, but he's not decrepit at any of the positions, right? So I mean that gets you, except for linebacker, right? So I think
Except
that's some
linebacker, yeah.
things that are maybe a little bit flawed in our rankings again, with just not actually putting into the plus and minuses, where a 4.8 could easily be a 4.2 if we were kind of grading on a more elaborate scale. But um, you know,
Yeah, but also at the same time, like, you got to give credit where you're
yeah,
attacking and doing well in positions. Like, I don't want to say, team shit because it's
right.
got bad linebackers. You can't say that. I've had almost nobody at a certain position one year and still made the playoffs. Right? Like, it can happen. It's just you got to get lucky. You got to have depth at the other positions. He seems to have that. Also, like, at some point, you know, especially he's got some young guys and good contracts. Like, halfway through the year, you got guys who are losing. They want someone young. Maybe they'll give you a nice vet. Maybe you can fill that linebacker room through trades. So, like, I think it's a fair
Yeah,
number,
I think we're
to have for him as far as a score.
pretty
I
fair
have him
on like where the upside is
4.57.
too. Like
I thought it
Kenneth
was.
Gainwell's a perfect example of like his overall team. It's like Kenneth Gainwell can score a shit ton of points this year, or he could just be relegated to a third string three down back that gets 3 or 4 touches a game. So it's that's kind of the perfect example of a lot of his guys on his team. So, all right, we're gonna move to the absolute killer, Mr. Bad Boy. This one's gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. Let's just
Boy.
start it off right away. He has an A in the quarterback room. Top four, dynasty quarterback, one of the best point getters. I think he's going to have a huge season again. So don't care about the contract. 2 years left. He gets an A for me.
Yeah. Plain and simple. Burrow's very, like, on that Mahomes conversation. It's the same thing. A minus only because of the salary cost versus having him for $1. It's a weird thing to say,
Yeah,
but, like,
running back room. I don't
yeah.
think I've ever seen a better running back room in the time that I've been doing this league. He has.
You almost have to give him two
Yeah, the only
grades for this
problem.
running back room, like two A's.
The only problem is he only can start
Like, one
three
A
of them,
is, like, not
right?
even
Like,
enough.
I mean, he could start. He could. Three
Yeah,
of the other guys would
good
start
problem.
on 75% of the rosters as their number one or two. So it's just an absolute dominant. I mean, there's just no way that Hampton and Genty aren't studs. Chase Brown's already a stud. Garendo gets a little bit of the knockback, but still, I mean, even if he's a third or fourth piece on a team, he's still valuable at $18. Jordan Mason could be the guy this year, and I'm kind of betting he is. And Jalen Warren doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. So, I mean, what else is there to say? It's the best running back room I've ever seen, and that includes Mando's team last year with his three studs because of just the contracts, the depth, the rookies. I mean, it's straight up sick. Good job, Warren.
Yeah, I mean, like, even with Brian Robinson getting traded the 49ers and making Isaac Guerrero, like, much less valuable unless he finds another team or 49ers lose, like, 6 running backs per norm. Uh, this is just something that's, they'll write songs about. It'll be called, it'll called, it'll be called Brown Hampton Genty Mason.
It sounds like a really great folk
Warren.
band.
It's just
I think one criticism Warren I will give him is that he does value his guys a ton, and I mean he was very very stingent on believing Isaac Guerrero was a first round value, and I think not in Warren's case because he's super savvy and he knows what he's doing, but like it's kind of that's the point, like that.
he just got some value from Malachi
I think
Corley
it's just
when he got cut.
holding on to guys that haven't necessarily proven themselves, that have kind of flashed. They're easily replaceable. I think that's a whole different conversation about running backs in general. But first round value now, no chance. I don't care what his contract is. He could be done within 2 seasons. So I don't know. No knock on him. Just again, absolute stud of a 5 studs, 4 studs on his. I mean, like it's unworldly. So not much else to say there. Wide receiving room. A1000 pluses.
A1000
pluses. Get 6 for times 3 for that one. Wide receiving room, another A. Yeah, I mean, he likes the bad boys. He likes Bond and Henry Ruggs, but the flyer he took on Isaiah Bond is a good flyer. Ibuka is getting
Unreal.
He must be the nicest, coolest, most outstanding person in the world because nothing but glowing reports coming out about him, and he's already a superstar. Hasn't played a snap. We'll see how that actually lands.
Chris Godwin randomly
so
is going
he
to
has
play
a
week
1-2
one.
punch there. Regardless,
No idea how that
$409
happened.
contract. I'm sure he's glad that's going to be gone next year. Ricky Pearsall is the guy in San Francisco this year. Jaden Reed, I'm down on overall. I don't think he gets to 215 points this year, but that's still a great asset. Vele getting traded helps him, even though it's probably a worse quarterback situation. I think he.
How'd you pass over that Henry Ruggs contract?
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I was.
Hey man, I laugh now, but man, a motherfucker's going to try and play when he gets out of jail. So we'll see what happens.
My list in the auction. I'm certainly wasn't going to just let someone get him for $1, but $8 is a little rich for me.
I Warren at an A- here, and that was like obviously before assuming Godwin was going to lose a bunch of time, and also assuming Isaiah Bond was never getting a team. Oh, so gross. Like I don't even know what to say. Like even Daley Vaughn's value going to New Orleans.
I think. I mean, it's not the best wide receiving room in the league. I mean, and I think he could get off to a little bit of a slow start, perhaps, with some of these guys. Right. But long term.
But once that Godwin contract is gone, holy hell, he's got cheap contracts.
It's a great room. I'm not jealous of it, but it's a solid room. Yeah.
I am. I've been jealous of this whole team. I don't even know. I
still got to compete. Tight end room, I have him as an A. Tucker Kraft is a top 10 Dynasty tight end, in my opinion. Cole Kmet, I think, is going to have a role in
Yeah.
Chicago. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's looked good. So he's got two guys, one of them being a stud and the other one being a solid, guy that he doesn't ever need to start, obviously, because he has 18 other players he can pick in front of him. But he's got two, and they're both not expensive, and they're on decent contracts. So I,
Another A by Warren. Nothing to add.
the defensive
Just
tackle
good room.
room. I'm always a little bit conservative on this. DeForest Buckner is an A. I have him as an A. Maybe it's just because I didn't know what else to do with him. I was just like, he's got to be an A. It's Warren. I'd probably put this at more of a B plus, B
Uh,
range if I was to do it again. But
he gave me an A minus. I think DeForest Buckner's a fucking stud, and then
he just
Dante
has to
Stills
start
is
one.
gonna be
So
good
I
again.
mean, I think that's the point.
Might even be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And for me, if you got a stud and you have a very playable backup, you got to get an A for me. I don't think you need more than that. A minus. We're not all the way in there, but I could have gave him a B plus because I like to see three guys, but I think he has somebody on taxi. We'll see how that works out with Brandon.
The
See how
the DN rune is his only blemish
Anywho,
that I have. That's spoiler alert, is a C room for me. C plus actually. Alex Wright I think is going to have a decent season this year. I don't know. You probably know these guys better than I do, but what are you seeing there that gives them anything better than an average defense end room?
did he make a trade? There's no way I have this grade right. I gave him a B minus, but I can't see why. I really like Alex Wright, so that's why. But Judon, maybe I thought Judon could go to a better team because he went to Miami recently. That could work out, but he's like, I don't know. He's going to be a very deep piece. Jalen's Hunt could be good too. That's fine. B minus. I got away with one there though. Michael Clems will be fine. But
No,
no established studs, but depth and an average room. I guess that's what I was.
I think
thinking
that's where
when I
he
gave him
gets.
a B minus because I
I
feel
think
like
that's,
you
I
have
mean,
to
and
be
this is
below
being very
average.
critical, but I think this is where he gets into a little bit trouble because I have him as a B for the linebacker room. Um, when you have to deal with buys or injuries and stuff, and you have two defensive tackles, and you have not a very deep or very strong defensive end room, and then you have, he's got plenty of pieces at the linebacker position, but you're going to have to fit up to 8 positions out of those 3 spots, and I think that's the only kind of a little bit of issue that he might have. But when you're playing the offense that he has every week, you got to make sacrifices, and I think it's not going to matter too much. But so yeah, I have a yeah
You never know.
yeah.
Got to see what kind
So
of trash he turns to treasure.
Shair,
You got
obviously a solid linebacker. Bobby Okirky, a stud. Raekwon McMillan, I thought had a chance when I was doing this. Troy Anderson's on the eye, injury reserve. Yeah, I didn't know
He
that.
should have. That's recent though. Like my
Yeah,
grade is
yeah, same.
assuming he
So
was going to be.
I have him at a
starter,
B
so.
for the linebacker room.
I do as well, and like I said, I don't think it's fair to adjust it much. Like Troy Anderson was going to be good. I mean, I think he needs some help now. I think took some cuts. It's going to happen. Okaraki's good enough. Alshair's good enough to probably carry a decent load of it, and then I probably think he probably needs to make some move to get some linebackers. He's offered me some trades, but I don't really. I can't give up my one linebacker.
I know he'll make some trades. Warren
But
will get her done.
yeah,
So yeah, and then the cornerback room, I also gave him a B here, just because I don't see absolute studs. The cheap contracts and depth, so it's probably a solid B. But other than that, I
yeah. There's a lot of upside there, not a lot of proven as far as points go. So you're right there. We could look at this room though and be like, wow, he's got three guys that got 150 points next year. I wouldn't be that surprised. I need to see if Kool-Aid's, like another sauce type, like where he's a shutdown guy, or if he can really push that total up with the starting role this year. I mean, cornerbacks in New Orleans have a history of figuring out how to get tackles, so it's a B for now for me, but
yeah, and
could
then
get
for
a
the
lot better.
safety room, my original grade was an A because of Mustafa and Bynum, and then some decent depth there. But that obviously that injury tag on Mustafa kind of pushes that down for me a little bit. But to me it was an A when I graded it. I don't nothing super exciting about it other than Bynum, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I already kind of knew Mustafa was like trending back when I made my grade. I gave him a B as well. But I knew Mustafa was going to be trending not play at least the beginning of the season, so they did IR him. Cam Bynum is kind of his only guy. Isaiah Oliver is like a converted corner. He's just going to be a special teams guy. Like he kind of needs Kevin Winston to have like a heater to make this room like kind of complete. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a weak point for him. And if your weak point is a B grade, then congratulations.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
so again, this
Way
is
to
so
go.
funny because what did you have his overall grade at?
Dude, it's
Yeah, I have him at a
5.07.
5.14. So I mean, again, his offense is just so ridiculous, but you can't score that many points on offense because you can't start everybody. You know what I mean? Like he has so much depth at the running back and even the wide receiver room and the tight end room, but he's limited to who he can start. So I think his defense will improve somehow because he's super savvy again and he'll figure it out. But you got to score points at yeah you got to score
He's
points
got
at every
so many
position in order to.
assets to
But
trade.
that's
Like,
that to me that's the highest grade in the division, and he's the front runner just because he's so stacked at his offensive positions. So great job, Warren. What a rebuild. Nothing but kudos for you, bud. So that's the War Dog. Look out. He's only going to get better, too. We're getting there, buddy. All right. We're moving
four
on
more
to the
teams, Corey.
Baltimore BDs. I wonder what the BD stands for. I have a guess, but I'm not going to say it. I mean, probably. That's what I would guess, 'cause there's two of them.
Big dicks.
Although it's his uncle, so that would be a little bit interesting. I guess you've probably seen your Uncle Dick before. Maybe? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Baltimore's
I'm
fucking
not going to
wild,
assume.
dude.
Not going to assume on
You never know.
that. Quarterback room. I gave him an A. Don't care about the contract. It's Lamar Jackson, and I don't care when he can score almost 560 points in a season. You get an A for me.
Yeah, A with a minus because it's $133. That's kind of all I have. Like, that's all I would nitpick. I would take for 560 points to the bank any day you can give it to me.
I have a
A.
C for the running back room. I like Dobbins. Frank Gore. Ugh, I can't. I mean, I thought that he was going to get. He'll be on the practice squad, but. It's a trending C minus room
Yeah.
probably for me with Dobbins. I think he's going to have a good year, but there's just not. Maybe he has something on the. Does he have something on the taxi squad? That feels like a. No. So it's a C trending down to me overall.
Yeah, I have him as a C plus. I'm assuming that's because, well, I like Frank Gore Jr. before he got cut too. But Dobbins and I really thought Chris Brooks was kind of leading for that number two job. He might be, but like I haven't heard a lot out of him at all. Actually, I haven't heard anything about running backs in Green
Well,
Bay.
it's Marshall
It's
Lloyd is
very
beat out by
weird.
the other guy, so they have
I think
Chris Brooks as like Manuel Wilson. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was like Emmanuel Wilson or whatever, whoever it is. So, yeah, and so like I don't know. I was probably more optimistic on Chris Brooks. LeQuaint is made the team somehow, so that was good for him. But again, buried. I don't know why I have a plus here. This is a
Yep.
C room, that's for
Wide
sure, though.
receiver room, I gave him an A. Um, he has CD Lamb, which we've talked about. That's like a one, two grades basically. He's got Josh Downs, who I think is going to have a very
Yep.
good year this year, and is ascending. He had a good year last year. Shakir is a solid piece. He's got Remigio that's going to score some points. Wandale Robinson has a chance again this year. I think it's just a very, and then he's got both of the Cincinnati guys that I think Isov Vyas is either third or fourth, depending on what Burton does, but Burton will sort of fuck that up somehow. So I think it's a very deep room, and he's got a stud, obviously in Lamb. So
Yeah, I gave him an A because I like Wandale and I like Shakir
oh, me
enough
too.
as
Yeah,
like a starter I'd love to have, like I think they'll be good. Josh Downs will be good, and then CeeDee's a beast, man. Like you got to get an A in there, and Nico solidified that role as a returner.
yeah, and he can start.
He's got a lot of good options, man. Like the team, Greg Dortch could be good
He can
too,
start
man. Like
four.
this is actually really nice for him.
Tight end room, I gave him
Yeah.
a B. That was before Dulcich getting waived. Juwan Johnson, I think, is also a little bit banged up. So it's more like a B minus room, probably.
Yeah, that's where I have him at a B minus as well, but it's almost to a C with losing Doldrich, and but Jawan Johnson will start hurt, but they don't have anyone else. I think everyone else is hurt. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It could be a shaky room to start the season, and obviously moving forward, I'm not sure what it looks like, but I'm sticking with the B that I gave him originally. Defensive tackles, I gave him a B plus. Quinn Williams and Devontae White, I think, are good pieces. Probably, I don't like the contracts necessarily. It's a little bit expensive. I think there's guys that can fill in for White at a cheaper cost, but he had to go get him in the auction. It's like that's a B plus room for me.
Yeah, I think Wyatt's due for a bounce back, and I like Quentin Williams a lot. A D tackle, I think he's a top five guy this year. So like I gave him an A minus because I think it's the same reason as before. It's close to a B plus, but if you got a good stud and you have a guy whose floor is like gonna be around 100, man, I like it. You know, two roster spots sometimes is saving some space. So it's good. And yes, it's expensive, but being sitting like 45 roster spots isn't a lot, so sometimes when you can get two at a spot and get away
Yep.
with it, it's nice when there's
Linebacker
enough.
room, I gave him a B plus as well. That was without knowing Junior Colson was going to go the season-ending IR. Bolton and
But he's still got Knight and Simon on his practice squad.
Yeah, that's
So
right. That's
yeah,
definitely that's a great point.
I don't know
Well,
why
he has
he
time.
hasn't elevated
I
them
mean, nobody's
when he
giving up.
has to.
Nobody's giving up two
Hey
first
man, got all the
activate
time in the
Knight,
world,
and
but
Simon nobody's giving up a first and a second. I don't think so. I'd never say never, but he's not in any hurry to do that. But those guys are two good starting pieces. Be
yeah, I had him at an A- for this room, man. Like it was really good. It still is if he activates those two. You know, like I said, even back when we did these, Cody Samuel's looking like he could like he's battling to get like snaps there. So that would be a hell of a win for that room too. And Demarius
and we
Knight's going
skipped
to be a
over the
beast too.
defensive end
Playing
room.
some.
Sorry about that. I gave him a B for the defensive
Oh,
ends.
we did
Yeah, depth.
B plus for me. Yeah.
Granderson, I think, is on a transition tag, getting a little bit older, but he's still pretty dominant.
But him and
Yeah,
Highsmith and Sam Williams are just going to be solid buck
right.
30 to buck 60 players, you know, and like he's got some other role player guys, you know, Hassan Reddick
Yeah.
could have a bounce back year.
I like Drake
It's
Greenlaw,
a
by
good
the way,
room.
this year. I think he's going to have a freaking solid year. So that's a great $20
Me too.
contract. I think he's obviously taggable the next year, too.
Yeah. Yeah, look, man. I mean, that's Nick Bolton and Dre Greenlaw, and you're like, oh, he's only got two, but like a throwing night, that's three
Yeah, it would.
starters. If you would have had Colson still in there, that would have been another rotation guy, and then Simon's going to get snaps. And it's just the
Yeah,
culmination of what we were
absolutely.
looking at when we
I
did
think
this.
I
Really
think
good.
I had him at an A minus, not a B plus too, if I'm looking at this correctly. But any regards, moving on to the cornerbacks, I have him as A here as well. Byron Murphy, he's got some other fill-in pieces. He has Nate Hobbs, Nick Hughes. I gotta be honest, I don't know a ton of these guys, but they look like they score points.
Yeah, Nate Hobbs is a slot corner. Byron Murphy is a slot corner. They're going to score a lot of points this year. They're both going to be great. Banks will be good. Mike Hughes might actually have a starting position role still. There, at worst, he's a nickel guy. So yeah, I gave that room an A. I just think it's Hobbs and Murphy are could be top five at the end of the year. I mean, like they have
Yep.
those best roles for
A
scoring
for
for.
the safety room. I love the room. Hufanga's a stud. Winfield,
Me too.
Byard is a stud. Even though he's expensive and he's probably not taggable. I think he has depth and three studs with Tony Adams as well. So yeah, A room for me.
Yeah, he's got a lot there. I mean, a lot of good guys. He could trade some stuff and go get some value elsewhere. Fan of Theo Jackson, I think he's taking that Camp Bynum spot. And then Jay Ward, he's been in training for like the Harrison Smith replacement, possibly. So he's kind of the backup there, but he's also, since we're so light on corner, he might get a lot of rotational snaps. So Jay Ward by next year could be really good.
Yep.
It's just good to be
Overall, I have him
right
as a
for me.
4.85. So so
I
that's
got him
where it just
five
gets
flat.
interesting. It's just like,
Five
I
flat.
mean, when you look at those two teams, like Warren and Bad Boys and him, like you're only, what, point 0.2 off. And to me, they're just their teams aren't very similar. So,
Yeah.
but he's got. I mean, this is a tough division. There's one person that's under a 4 in my ranks, and the rest of them are could compete in a lot of the divisions. So good squads. Good squad. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. KC
Nope,
Mean Machine up
absolutely
next.
not.
There's no
Starting it off
pushover.
strong with an A at the quarterback room. 3 years with Kyler Murray scoring over 400 points. I think he's going to have a more productive year this year. I don't know why necessarily. I've heard that he's going to try to use his feet a little bit more. I think he's going to be good, and it's a dollar contract, so I gave him an A.
Yeah, I got him as an A as well. It's just, you know, a lot to like. It's good contracts and good quarterbacks make us
Running back room,
smile
I
a
have
lot.
him as a C. Estimate I know landed somewhere soft. Jerome Ford probably starts off the season with being productive. Eckler probably gets a little bit of a bump for Robinson being shipped out, but I just don't see any longevity for him. So just not a ton of depth there. I think probably more like a C plus because he can start Ford and Eckler and be okay with it, and Estime might find a role, but yeah, just not enough depth for me there, and questionable starters, I guess.
Yeah, B minus for me. I think
Yeah,
this is like back when
right.
Judkins had. We thought he was never going to play. So I was like Ford's probably going to be very good. Now he still could be. Like I think I saw Judkins might sign his contract any day now that they agreed on terms. So that's crazy. So it sounds like they're like it's not like they're not going to sign him. They're like they made the deal. But anyways, an SMA I expected to be a depth piece. He signed with
Yeah, he got
somebody
picked
else
up. Let
though.
me
He
look
got
real
cut,
quick.
but he
He
got
got picked up
signed,
by
right?
Philadelphia.
Um, Philly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. You know, it's a gonna
And
be
the Green
behind
Bay and the
Shipley.
Green Bay guy that
Uh,
has
Not
kind of
bad,
been a
man.
dud, the big boy.
Oh, DJ Dillon. Yeah, I think Guesstimate's better, and like that offensive line is the nuts too. So it's a good spot to be. So it doesn't look as bad as a fee. It's probably holding the same value
Yeah,
as like
that's
what
true.
you
That's
would have
fair.
thought he would have been as a Bronco. To me.
Uh, Wide receiver room, I gave him an A. He
Yeah,
has
I
Neighbors and Devontae Adams, and Keenan Allen still has a pulse. Malik Washington, I think, is ascending a little bit. Miami. Um, yeah, I like the room.
yeah, he's a lot. Yeah, I like Malik Washington's look really nice. Like I mean, they're not. Tyreek Hill gets out there, he might look a lot more nice, but I think Malik Washington has that sleekiness and that it gets in the space. He does those things that um, they like to do in that offense. So I would look at him to like be more than serviceable. I have him as an A as well. I think it's a good bounce room.
He
Duvernay
just
won
got
your
waived.
kick return job, right? So again, like,
I think.
oh, did he get waived? Okay. But Noah Brown's still with Washington. Again, like it's deep enough.
Yeah,
I think it's good stuff.
agreed. I have an A for his tight end room with Ferguson and Noah Gray kind of leading the way. I think Ferguson's going to have a much bigger year this year, and Noah Gray is, I think, a nice long-term complementary asset that scores points. They get him involved still, even with Kelsey still there. It's a little unsure what they're going to do with the other two tight ends in Kansas City because they have the dude from Green Bay that I think made the team, and then they have Wiley. But Noah Gray just seems to always kind of be on the field and making plays, and they trust him. So not a bad complimentary piece to Ferguson.
Yeah, I got him A minus too. Same thing. I think Ferguson's going to be better this year, and then I think Noah Gray is a long-term asset. It's great value. He's going to be great fill-in player. If you need him in a pinch, they keep him involved. He's just going to score some points most weeks.
Defensive tackle, I have a C plus grade. This was prior to Pickens getting cut, who I thought was actually going to be somewhat solid. Just don't see a stud there. He's got two
Yeah, me
guys.
too.
You know, nothing, nothing great.
C plus as well. It's average. A couple guys will get some points. No studs. And also Raheem Nunez rushes is really fighting for training camp time with the rookie who's on my team that I can't even remember. But anyways, yeah. So like, there's not a lot of ceiling power, but there's probably some stability if that makes sense.
I have
So
an A
it's
for the
fine.
defensive end room. He's got Osai, who's a stud, I think, this year. Byron Young, Marshawn Nealand, and some depth pieces, all on very, very good contracts. So I gave him an A.
Yeah, I gotta be. I can't get him that high, even though I like Marshawn Nealon and little Bo Richter, Brian Young's great, and Asai are good starters. I think. Yeah, I think their ceilings are a little
Yeah,
limited.
I think
So
I had
yeah, I just
Osai
thought it was a
even
good beat.
probably a little bit more bullish on him because of the Hendrickson stuff. I thought maybe they were going to move on from him too, but still, it's a pretty solid room, especially with Young being a stud, and he's got some depth. For the linebacker room, I have him as a C. I like Nate Landman. He's on a super cheap contract. He appears to be the starter. And then after that, I like Nick Martin, the rookie, but he's unproven. So we'll wait and kind of see there. And just not a ton of depth outside of Landman. And I'm not sure if he's a long term guy necessarily, or if he's just kind of a spot fill this year. So a C room.
Yeah, I gave him a B minus, and D Winters I think won that job, and I expected Landman to be the starter. I think he's going to be, but or I don't think he's going to be now. So like this is probably overgraded. Nick Martin wasn't good in camp. He did get a starter though with Marcelino off of the waivers, and I'm trying to remember if that influenced it, like when he got that, if that was when we did these grades. But that was like such a good pickup.
Wow,
Like he's going to be the third
no
linebacker,
idea.
I think. Yeah, like kind of out of nowhere, he's probably a 60% snap guy. But to get that guy off the waivers around this time, man, that's nice, right? I was super. I went after the Vikings running back who we kept, Scott, and because I knew he was going to make our team, and that was my next guy on my
All
list
right.
for that
I
price
did
point.
not know that, but I'm gonna stick with my
So
grade, a C. Just not super tired.
yeah, I mean, like I'm telling you, looking at it now, it's not a B minus; it's a C for sure. Because just stuff didn't work out. Like even with that ad, it's like Landman
Oh,
lost
he
that
did.
job. Like
I
I
thought he
thought he
was
had it
kind of confirmed
pretty much
the
locked in.
guy, but
Doesn't seem like it.
I'm wrong. Huh.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm like, but like I'm.
It
Let
doesn't
me go
matter.
look at it. Maybe he did get it because he had a. Oh, he
Yeah,
has the
I'm
green
pretty sure
dot.
that
Sorry, I'm getting confused.
he won the job, but
Well, Troy Reader's going to start somehow,
they
which
kept
is weird. And then they cut Paul, and
they
then
kept a
Bullock's
undrafted
going to be
free
the
agent
third
over Paul.
linebacker, I think. It's crazy. And then they
Yeah,
have Spates. I got to look into this more. Like,
they have
tons of stuff
Spites for sure.
changed. I just don't even know
Who's
what's
definitely a
happening
starter,
anymore.
and I thought Landman was number two, but I don't know. Anyway, we're going to move on to the cornerback position where I have him as an A. I love Kyler Gordon. He's got some depth pieces. Where else did I really enjoy this room? Probably, yeah. I don't know. I'm not. I'm throwing a blank.
I think it's your Kyler Gordon love, dude. I have him as a B plus, and I like that he has a lot of depth outside of Kyle Gordon. I think there's like not a lot of stud stuff. Some guys fighting for jobs, like another like, dude. We could look at
Yeah.
these like a lot of these guys could have lost their jobs, or won them. I haven't really quite looked into.
Yeah,
it
he's got a
enough,
lot
but
of cheap
I'm a
depth
B plus.
guys that he can start, and I think Gordon's a stud. No.
Yeah, he's not
Then
overpaying for
for the
anyone.
safety, I gave him an A as well. He's got Joseph Kirby. I think Jordan Fuller was still on a roster when I did this. I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah. Jordan Fuller was supposed to start for the Falcons, and they cut him. And Watts, the safety I drafted, actually is going to start at free safety, but that was a surprise. So
Yeah,
your grade was probably
yeah,
reflective of
it's
Jordan
probably
Fuller
not an A room
starting
at
for
this
the
point though.
Falcons.
But that's
Yeah. And I have a B plus for this room. It was pretty close for an A for me. Now it makes more sense as a B room because of, but Jordan Fuller should get picked up. He's not ass, you know. He's a pretty serviceable free safety, and like as soon as somebody gets in trouble, there's not a lot of like his style free safeties on the market. I don't think.
yeah.
Like, that's why Jordan Poyer got his job. You know, Jordan Poyer is like very similar. And
Overall, I have him as
so
a
he should get on the team pretty
4.57.
quick.
So very,
Yeah,
very similar.
4.5 flat for me. I think he had a lot of pluses for me. Oh, he had a lot of minuses too. So I was gonna say sometimes if I have a lot of pluses, you know, it feels like well, could have gone a little higher.
All right,
Seems
we're
about
gonna
right at
keep
4.5.
moving here. I'm getting excited to talk about the Acme Packers. Uh, Los Angeles Chargers quarterback. I
Yes.
gave him an A. I think he's a top 10 quarterback dynasty. I don't care about the salary. He scored over 400 points. I think he's going to have a better year this year too. I do. Yeah.
Really?
I love Justin Herbert. I love Justin Herbert. I love
I'm
him.
not that
It just
high. Yeah, I think you're a Justin Herbert guy or not. It's a B minus for me. It's not a minimum contract, and I don't think I
wow.
have Herbert in my top 15. Maybe I do. I don't know. We'll find out. Spoiler alert. I don't
Things change
know.
quickly.
The yeah. But the thing is, with Harbaugh being there long term,
Yeah.
he's just such a management guy, and he just wants to win with possession. They want to run the least amount of plays, right? Like they want to run the clock. They want to be like, even when they're passing, they want like tick tock. They want to like really manage the game. So like, I wonder if Justin Herbert will ever
Yeah.
get back to that really elite high end level. And if he does, awesome. But like I personally don't feel he will. But I think that's his best chance to probably getting to the Super Bowl. If that's like if Harbaugh really turns that team around. Because Herbert will be able to sling the rock if they have to play in a shootout with Mahomes or whatever, you know. But like the plan that team will always make is to try and make
No, that's fair.
them
I just
play
think you have to
very,
take into
right,
consideration their
trenches,
offensive skill
slow
positions
grind.
have improved. I mean, I think their identity will be running the football, but I've also heard that they kind of want him to play a little bit more like Josh Allen too, where he's using his body and his size a little bit at the goal line. Well, I'm just saying,
I'll
like
eat my words if he
he's a
plays
big
like
ass
Josh
dude,
Allen, I'll tell
and
you
like
that. But like,
I think he wants to be a little bit more physical, use his body. I think with Keenan Allen being there, they have Ladd, they have they have the rookie Trey Harris. I've heard that Quentin Johnson's been better. No, I think he has weapons, and I think they're going to score more points.
if you pass
That's
the ball
true. We'll see.
28 times a
He
game, it
still
doesn't
scored
matter.
400 points last year. I mean, I
It
just
just doesn't
feel
matter.
like he's going to be.
I know. On like very little passing. Like, it's not the point. Like the efficiency matters. It's they're not going to be in these shootouts. They're not going to be,
Yeah.
like I don't know, man. Like I just know Harbaugh, and as long as I know Harbaugh, it's like that's what I'm banking on more than Herbert because I know Herbert can do it. I know Herbert can fire the rock everywhere, but I just think even in these cases where he's like hot and you're like, ooh, he's gonna have a game. Like they're just gonna if they have a lead, they're gonna sunk
Yeah.
down on it. They're not gonna be trying to blow people out, man.
He's
They're just
just
gonna try
he's
and
an anomaly. He's one of those guys that I have love for, and I think he's super talented, and he just hasn't really put it together to be.
I do too. People hate on Justin Herbert. I don't get it. I'm on the side with you that
He's
I
better
think
than
he's
Bo
better
Nix.
than
He's better than Bo
people give
Nix. I
him
can tell
credit
you
for.
that.
But again,
That's true.
I don't know if he is for fantasy.
That's fair.
But I do believe he's a better quarterback.
Yeah.
And our
I hear
exercise is
the running back
fantasy.
room. This is a very interesting one. I gave him a B. That was before Bill Merritt became the most fantasy relevant running back in
Yeah.
NFL history. Exactly.
But also Joe
Exactly.
Mixon is like may
Yeah,
never play
exactly.
football again. So it's like we'll call it a wash. like Krosky Merritt is currently
Right.
what Joe Mixon's like before his injury.
And then I like the
was. So,
Justice Hill signing. I think he outscores 130 points this year, and I think that's a really solid 3. So it's a solid room.
he's gonna get run.
Not.
He's gonna get
I mean,
run.
Joe Mixon was healthy, and Bill
Yeah, I
was
got it as a B as well.
Gale Sayers, as he has been identified as so far. That would be definitely a B plus room.
God, if you can get Joe Mixon back at any point, that would really help his team, man. That's like really, like Marcus Yarns too. I kind of thought he had a chance being good for New Orleans, and he got.
I gave him a
cut.
very
Practice squad
generous
guy will
B minus in the wide receiver room, and that is based off of the hope of Kyle Williams.
I did too.
And I think Adonai Mitchell is going to have a much better year this year. Brandon Cooks is the number 3 as of now, in New Orleans. We'll see how long that lasts. Scantling getting waived kind of hurts a little bit, but I think he got picked up by. San Francisco. Yeah, so that actually is kind of a
fantasy wise.
Yeah, in the short term for sure.
Might be better.
So it's a B minus C plus room for me. I don't think he has a stud necessarily, but he has some depth pieces and guys he can start. So
B minus for me too. But man, I am drinking.
I am too.
Adonai Mitchell.
I like him.
Gallon right now, by the gallon. And it's like, oh, he's the 4th wide receiver. I'm like, there's no way from what I've seen over and over and over again on like every day at camp. Oh, here's another 5 Mitchell highlights. And you're just like, what the fuck is this guy? Don't they have 3 other guys ahead of him? And you're like, they're not going to be able to hold him back. I was really, really, really not certain. But like I felt in my gut that they were going to trade Pittman or Pierce at cutdown day. They didn't, but I was like, should they just go get max value for one of these guys, and then
yeah, I think he's going to have a good year too. I
in.
actually think Indy's going to be a little bit better than people think. I think the Daniel Jones.
With Danny Dimes, man, I think, man, there's going to be some fantasy good shit there. But, like, again, like, I'd like too many Indianapolis guys, and it's starting to scare me. It's like, ooh, I like
They got
Warren.
some
Ooh,
weapons,
I like
man.
Downs. Ooh, I like Pittman. Ooh, I like...
Not forget about
I think,
Taylor either. I have him as a C minus on the tight end room, and that was generous considering All's on the IR. He might be done, dude. He just can't stay healthy. And then he's got Theo Johnson, who's maybe a little bit of upside there, but I don't see him having any positivity coming out of that position in the short term.
got Jackson Hawes, who's made a little noise on the taxi squad. This is a 6th-round pick. Might want to move that boy's ass up there. He made the team, man. He was
He's got a lot in
decent,
front of him.
but he's got a lot in front of him, But that might be the only thing keeping me from changing this grade to a D. I mean, it's bad.
Alrighty.
And I have him as a C as well.
I have him as a C
We'll leave it there.
in the defensive tackle room. Just probably even maybe trending down a little bit. But yeah, just Kenny Clark, I think, is a piece. Didn't overspend, but doesn't have any depth. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
You're
Well,
not. It's a C room.
yeah. Um,
Just a C room. One of those guys, like again, Kenny Clark, if he's healthy, could get back into 110
I have him in.
range, but
I have him as an A room
it's not a lot
for
of
the
upside.
defensive end. He's got Thibodeau. He's got Lawrence
Me too.
Taylor,
A minus, I
the
gave.
second coming, who is I think going to absolutely rip the face masks off people this year. And then
Yeah, man.
yeah, great
So
pick.
high on Abdul Carter,
I
man.
think
So high on him. He's just but I didn't think he could look
I just think him
as
going
good as he
122 is
has. He
still
looks.
one of the better values. Like when we look back on this, seeing the best defense end that could be legendary.
He's Micah. He's Aiden Hutchinson. He's
Yeah,
Watt. I mean,
that's a steal.
you know what I mean. I'm calling it right now. He
I like
hasn't
his
played a
depth
snap.
too.
He's already that.
Williams in San Francisco, it's been so-so, I think, in camp or blah blah blah. But that's a nice pick. Yeah,
No, he's been dinged up. It's not. He looked amazing. Also, he spent all off season with Joey. They trained together. They studied tape together. He was ready to ball. I think he's got an injury that's been holding him up from playing a lot. But I think he'll still have a very good year. And Thibodeau's the third rotation DN, man. He's
nope.
not
Even
gonna get a lot of double teams. I'll tell you that.
Tavius
So,
Robinson. I mean, he's
good
had
room,
a
man.
lot of up and down reports too.
Yeah.
I might have felt for the old projection trap in a couple of auctions on him, but he seems to be a little bit trending down. So,
Yeah.
the linebacker room, I have it as a B. We already talked about Chris Paul getting waived, which was kind of surprising for that draft capital, especially for a undrafted free agent that they kept. Rosenblum, solid piece, expensive but solid. Bernard, another solid. Yeah.
You got the green
Um,
dot.
so it's
He's
a
a
B room
beast.
to me. He's got some pieces.
Yeah, I gave him an A minus, and it's probably a little too good. I mean, Tyron Hopper's been very good this off season. He's probably got himself into a role. Terrell Bernard's going to be a stud, and Christian Razorboot, man, he got Josie Jewell cut, bro. And he's going to be green dotted, and it's not outlandish to say he will be the highest
Yeah.
scoring linebacker of the free agency class of our free agency class, right? Over David and all these other guys. I think
Nice.
Razorback's gonna be very
For
good this year.
the cornerback room, I gave him an A. He's got cheap contracts. He's got a stud in Jones. He's got some other guys that are capable of filling in for spots. Again, I don't know all these cornerbacks, so I could be completely off. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
B plus for me. Trey Amos has looked good enough, but then Maxwell Harrison went on IR, so I don't have to change it. I was very high on Maxwell Harrison, and I was high on Trey Amos. I really wanted to draft him in the fifth. I don't remember where this went, but I think I was like right after that, very disappointed I couldn't get him. And he's looked incredible, and is going to start, and it's going to be a problem. Like, it's crazy. Like, they had Sandstrom, and they're like, he's locked into the slot, and they're like, man, but Trey Amos can do it all too. So they're going to be able to do a lot of things with him. So that if anytime you can, they can do a lot of things with you as a cornerback. That means they're looking to give you blitzes, they're looking to get you up at the line, in out and stuff like that. That gives you tackles. That's like the points. That's what we need when you want high scoring cornerbacks. It's either that or a really shitty guy who gets thrown at a lot. But
I gave him a B at
so
safety. I like Nick Scott. I think he's the starter in Carolina. Oh shit. He's got some other pieces there. Jonathan Owens, I think I even saw him returning kicks for Chicago in a couple preseason games, which is interesting. I think they let go Duvernay and they tried him out. I don't know. That's very, very interesting. Evan Williams on a cheap contract. B-room.
yeah, I have C plus, and like I have to probably look in a little more to see if anyone won this job, what jobs. But Nick Scott was, I think he is going to start, but I think he's the only guy who
No,
went
he's a
out
depth
right.
piece.
Jonathan Owens, is he starting for you guys? He's a depth piece. Yeah, it's a C room because like I just don't think anyone else is starting.
What about the rookie Makuba, though? I mean,
Andrew,
that's pretty high draft
did
capital.
Andrew Mabuka win it? Yeah, I think he. No, but I think he won.
Well, you would have had to beat out
Just late,
Blankenship and
I can't get everything straight.
Sidney Brown.
Nah, dude, one of their rookies was like in the mix. Dude, I think he might. I think he might have beat him out. Like I might be thinking of the wrong team of where a rookie just completely leveled guys we would have never thought. But anyways, it's a decent room. It was a
Overall, I have him as a
C plus, but C plus for me.
4.14. So
He's a
but
4
for
flat for me. That's where he ended up. It was kind of lower than I thought. I thought his team was a little stronger, but maybe.
but for the
grades
second,
don't always tell the story.
I mean, he's tied with the Argonauts at 4.14 for me. So he's either the second or third worst team in the division to have a 4-point plus ranking is pretty
Yeah.
good, man.
It's still compared to. I mean, it's not like the atrocious
Correct.
teams we've seen.
All right.
In some of these other divisions.
Some say they save the best for last, but not the case today.
Not the case
unfortunately.
today.
I can't wait for this. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go first, and I will just give my retort after you, completely abolish my team.
All right, that's fine. Yes, so the Sal Paradiso review is official. We know Bears quarterbacks have never been good. They never will be good, and they're going to be trash ass forever. So I have an F grade for the quarterback.
Well, there's
Just
some
kidding.
truth to that. So
I'm kidding. Oh, man. By the if you were sitting and listening
I
to
don't
half
even want to
these
get
fucking
into it.
talking
I'm just,
heads
like
out
I
there,
said, I'm
you
waiting
might
for the
hear
season start.
shit like that. I have a B grade, and it's on the
Yep.
price alone.
You've been
of
consistent
what
with
you're paying
that.
for
I understand it.
Corey.
No problem.
He's
I
not
understand
in the
it.
realm of the other guys. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's not worth it. I mean, his upside in a Ben Johnson offense. We're going to see that if I ever get to our quarterback ratings. That for a Vikings fan, I much more believe that Caleb Williams. I've been pretty consistent with this. I have not overreacted. I have not overreacted to his bad. I refuse to do it until I see it like inhabit so much that I will like. We're probably having a beer together and agreeing.
I'd be
on it, right? Like, I want time, and with an offensive coordinator like Ben Johnson, I saw what Kevin O'Connell can do to average quarterbacks. I mean, if you have as much talent as
I
Caleb,
think
I
he's
mean,
looked
he could
pretty
be,
darn good.
you know, that
Yeah,
price that price might not matter. So he's a B graded Corey. It's fair for now. Even though you have him for a long term,
yeah.
he
I
might be
mean,
an A
you've been
next year
fair
if he
with the
really keeps
price,
that
and even
stuff.
if it was Joe Burrow giving him a knock for price, so I can't get upset about that. I have him as an A. I have him as a top six fantasy quarterback. I think he scores over 450 points. I think he throws for 4,500 yards this year. I think the offense is much better. I think he has all the talent in the world, and it's just a matter if he can kind of figure it out and be efficient. And so I have him as an A. It's not even bias. It's I believe in him, and I hope it works out, obviously. But it is what it is. I'm not giving him anything less as a top six ranked quarterback for me. So
Hey, oh, all
yep,
right, I love it. Kool
go
Aid
ahead.
thinking. Um, A minus for your little running back room. Although I was pretty disappointed Khalil Herbert didn't carve out a role anywhere. And the Brian Robinson is is definitely devalued from when I was probably
I don't think he's
yeah
devalued.
maybe these
Just to be
rankings. I
fair,
don't
I
know.
think he's at
Still
the
a thing
same or
then.
better
Jesus.
value, in my opinion. And I honestly was shit. My shit. Right.
Maybe where he was trending to, but I don't think if he would have got his role
Yeah.
that he normally had in Washington, we could say that. But because of the emergence of Bill, and because I know from fans and from reading beats that they were definitely, they weren't going to be patient with him because he didn't have the running style that they wanted. So it was like, kind of like, when we can get rid of you, we will. And Bill gave that opportunity. Um, you know, uh, the glass curse of San Francisco at running backs. I mean, like, dude, take any running back that makes the roster. So, like, he's a McCaffrey, another strained calf away from being way more valuable than he would ever
Yeah.
be in Washington. And
I,
that's just a fact.
Basing off the
So
fact
I agree
that
with that.
Shanahan already said he's their number two and that he loved him out of college and they went and got him. I think I don't see a decrease in value necessarily. Now, how many touches does he get a game? Does he get 10 carries and two catches and some goal line work here and there? I don't know, but I think it's short. It hurts me a little bit in the short side, but there's upside there. So I'm happy with the landing. I was kind of shitting my pants when they're like he's on the trading block. I didn't know who was going to pick him up. So all in all, I think he landed pretty soft, and I couldn't be happier about where he landed. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, Brashad Smith. I mean, he's about where I had him when we were doing this. Like I said, I give you an A minus because he definitely looks like he was gonna make the team at least and have some role. I'm not as high on him as you are. I'm not going to crown him yet. Will he score points? I think so, and that's kind of all you need right now as that third spot. So Schrader not sticking was surprising.
yeah, I
But
wasn't really
he's
counting on him
practice
too much,
squad
but
guy
I thought he
probably,
looked good in
and that
spots
is
in the
what it is.
preseason.
No, but I had him. I think I had him lingering around another league. Thought he could.
So yeah, I have an A
So
grade
maybe.
based off of
Um,
Gibbs being my number one ranked overall running back. This was obviously. Oh yeah, yeah.
did you give yourself
I
anything
have
besides
two
an A? I'm
average
just
scores in
full
there for sure.
disclosure.
Again, this was pre Herbert getting cut. I didn't see that coming necessarily. I thought he would be the two, worst of three. Still at a
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I would have you as an A at running back right now,
I think
Corey. If
Herbert
I
will
was
sign
looking at
somewhere
that,
else, to
even
be
with
honest with you. So I don't know how much difference it makes,
Bashard.
but we'll see.
I think
Yeah,
that needs to happen. I'm not going
but
to
I'm
sue
obviously higher
completely,
on Rashard
but
Smith, like, and I
yeah.
have been since the draft. So it is. I don't think it could have worked out any better for me as far as what he's been doing. No, no, no.
If
I
you
don't.
think
I
he
think
can score
I
like
wanted
250
120 to
points, I'd be
150 out of
like,
it.
I
I
think you're
wanted him to score
looking
120 to
at
150 out of this year. I
80.
thought that was the value. Well,
I'm
if he's
blown away
doing
from
kick
that average.
returns and he's catching two or
It could
three balls
happen
a
if he
game and he's
returns enough
getting a
kicks.
few carries and some gadget plays, like I think 120 points comes pretty quickly.
Well, they did waive Carson Steele. I think he went to
Yeah.
practice squad, but that was a very good sign. If they
Well,
would have
they
carried
are carrying
four, I
four.
would
They're
have been
carrying
not as
Mitchell,
optimistic, but they
Hunt,
didn't.
and you know, Isaiah.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Wow, they
Yeah.
kept Mitchell. I don't know.
All right,
I don't
go on to
watch
the wide
crazy.
receivers.
Yeah, wide receiver. It's another A minus. I'm not changing any grades today.
Yeah,
Gabe
no, that's fair.
Davis didn't get signed. He keeps talking about work. He's worked out for 75 teams and hasn't gotten a contract. I don't know what's going on with that boy. Jaden Higgins has had probably better news in the last 2 weeks. T. Higgins is T. Higgins.
No,
Ray Ray,
he's possibly the number two in
guy,
that offense right now.
third
Just
round
FYI.
pick. Solid.
Ray Ray's well, they have Mooney hurt and they have London. Ray Ray's a solid piece. I'm just
Wow.
saying right now he's a
Okay,
solid piece.
Mooney's
But he
he's
scored
not better
170
than
points and
Mooney.
wasn't
He's
better
not
than
better
them last
than
year.
London.
I'm just saying he's a solid 170 point person this year. He's not just a return guy. Okay.
I don't think he scores that
Alrighty.
much.
That's
I
why
don't
we
think
play the game.
Kobe is hurt. That's just my opinion. Yeah, Ray scored majority of those points with Kirk Cousins. Let's move on. Calvin Ridley, I'm higher than most people are on him. I think he's going to be very good because I think Cam Ward's going to have a very decent rookie season. I don't think he's going to be bad. I think he's got good ball placement. I don't think he looks like football and the NFL is overwhelming for him in any way. So I think he's going to be pretty good. I don't think he'll be good enough to like win shitloads of games, but to score some fantasy points for Mr. Calvin Ridley, I do think that's probably why I have
Yeah.
him at an A
No, that's fair.
minus, is because I'm pretty high on him.
Yeah, that
And
one's not
still
trending
waiting
in
on
the right
that
direction.
Justin Ross payday. It's, no, not quite. See, so
Hold on.
for
Let me get
a C
let
plus for
me give
your
yeah.
tight
So I
end,
have an A
though.
for my don't
Oh
be
yeah, you
shocked.
want to
I have
get
an A
yours
for
in.
my wide receiver room because I'm high on Ray McLeod and I'm also high on Mason Tipton. I was happy to see Cody White stay on the squad, who I think actually is a pretty good number 4 or 5 for Seattle. Mason Tipton, I think, is probably in the top 5 and had a great preseason again. I think he could replace Cooks at some point in the season if Cooks isn't Cooks, but that's optimistic at best. So I have an A for myself. All right, fair.
Yes, I knew you had an A for yourself, Corey. Uh, just kidding. I mean, I'm not, but I am. C plus for the tight end position. I would give Kazeki a little more credit, but he's been in and out of injuries, and specifically the Noah Fant signing probably scares me more than it does most, because I think Mo Fant's good enough to take a lot of his workload if they want to balance out. I don't see any reason why they would just be like, yeah, we're going more 2 tight end sets. It's more like, let's keep our tight ends healthy and have good production come to the playoffs and not worry about, So I would be shocked if Gasecki had a great year. Can you get 110, 120 points? Sure. If he got 180, would I be blown away? No. But I'm worried about that.
Yeah, I gave myself a
in
C
general,
for the tight end
so C
room.
plus for me.
Gesicki was the top 15 tight end last year. He has been hurt. I think when he's healthy and their offense gets rolling, he'll be a valuable piece. I don't like my long term aspect in my tight end room at all. That's why I have it as a C. If Gesicki was on a cheaper contract for 2 more years, the length of his contract would probably be okay. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did my
The transition
I did my
tag
best to
means the
kind of
party's
fill
over,
in the
regardless of.
gaps with signing Hudson as kind of his backup, which he did play a ton in the preseason, looked good. I was kind of surprised by that, but then the Fant signing is we'll see. And then Luke Farrell, they paid him a lot of money and he's on the field, so he's just a dart throw like when I need him to fill in. So yeah, C. That's one of my weak spots for sure. Tackles.
Then we get to your D tackles. Gave you an A. Very nice. Mitabuke, I'm very high on him having a big bounce back season, and Shannon Robinson is a beast. And I think Malik Collins is very serviceable. I think he's still going to play a big role in there to get you around 80 to 100 points as that third guy. So when you got two
Yeah,
studs,
nothing to add there.
guy,
It's an A.
that's the rule is the A. And then your D end room A minus. Will Anderson's probably carrying the heavy load of that, but Karlaftis has been so consistent and keeps getting better that that's going to make up the most of the room. Austin Booker probably got 5 sacks since I made this grade, so that's looking quite good there as well. So I like some of the depth pieces you have. I probably could have at the time, like, if nitpicked and gave you a B plus, but the two starters are great, and I like your
I have it as an A. I'm obviously way higher on Karlaftis. I think him and Will Anderson are the recipe of two studs and then depth pieces. Booker is ascending. I've watched a ton of him, and he's banged up, and I'm not sure if he's going to go on the short term IR, but I'm not too concerned about that long term. I've thought about moving Karlaftis or Anderson to improve at another position, but I just like having the depth. Even Gardeck and Drake Jackson didn't work out so far, which was kind of a gamble. But Cameron Sample, I think, is still listed as was listed as a starter, but not anymore. But whatever. So it's just another depth piece. I can start 3 guys, I think, in there in spots and be completely fine with it.
Yeah, at your linebacker position, I have you as an A minus. I'm just going to keep this on what I would have expected then. That kind of has just turned for the worse as far as Carly's was concerned. Carly's was a breakout candidate for me. I know you liked him a lot. I got him, activated him in other leagues. I was really big on him. I think he's just been consistently nagged and too hurt to play enough to like lock that spot down, and now it's just a weird spot. Joe Bacci of all fucking humans is gonna probably start next to Franklin. Franklin might have 200 tackles this year. I honestly, thinking about it, I just don't know. Maybe when Carly's comes back, but like I don't know if they're gonna have anyone competent like next to him, worth a shit. So that'll be really interesting to see if it's like, oh, that guy gets these tackles because that's what everyone does, or if you can actually be shitty. And then,
well, they have Cameron McGrone in that spot, which is kind of crazy if you think about his trajectory. I mean, I have it at.
Yeah, but he's not even at. I think.
Really?
I'm telling you, I think Joe Pesci beat him out. Like, this is a weird thing. And then, you have 3.
Yeah, I mean, I have it as an A. I think I have 3. Good, really solid starters. And then Marte Mapu's definitely going to get moved to linebacker. He's been playing linebacker all season. He made the squad. He's looked good. So that's another depth piece that I'll be able to move into that spot. And then, the Carly's thing, this was all before that. So, for me, it was an A room. I like the contracts. I like the depth, and I like my 3 studs.
Looking at your safety room, are you?
Yeah, I'd rather just deal with
or would you
what I have at safety. We can get there, but yeah, if he makes it, I extended him for 5 years. Another piece that still keeps kind of climbing. If he can stay healthy and he's in that Vrabel defense, and Vrabel likes him as he's very a hybrid player. Like they move him around. He's covering out on the outside. Like he's in the box. I don't think they have a really studly room. Even Ellis, if you look at it, like he could be valuable this year and be replaceable next year. So it's I think he's a better piece at linebacker. Anytime you can have a $20 linebacker that gets snaps, he'll be on special teams, some too. So I'm okay with him being moved to linebacker.
Yeah, cornerback room. I have used a B, even though I really like Will Johnson a lot. Although Jeff Okuda did win that third QB gig for us. We might add somebody because he's been hurt and we have no depth. And then Joey Porter, similar. He's just like that. He's that outside corner
Yeah.
guy. I don't know how many points he can end up scoring. So there's guys. You got some points. I don't know how big the upside is, but you might get it with Will Johnson. I really like him, and I think they're going to move him inside and out. So be aggressive
Yeah, I
with
have
him
it
so
as
he
an
can
A
be a great
minus.
rookie for you.
It was kind of one of those positions I was dealing with before the draft and tried to get some pieces in the auction that kind of have worked out. I even picked up Wright for Chicago, who uh, once they get Gordon and Jalen Johnson won't obviously be starting, but he's probably that third or fourth cornerback that will get snaps. They really like his length. Porter's a good piece. He's kind of that Sauce Gardner. He's not going to score you a ton of points unless he gets pick six, but I can start him and Will Johnson, who won the job every week, and then I have some depth pieces. So and no overspends. I mean, I have you know $24 dedicated to the room, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Yep. And then we're at the C graded safety room. That was before your boy Castro got cut, who was supposed to be the favorite to start.
I don't know if he was ever
Got
favored to be the starter, but
and
I definitely thought he would make the team. He ended up on the practice squad. I think they like him, but he's a little bit raw, and I don't know. We'll see. To be determined on that one, but I took a swing, and we'll see if it.
do you have
No,
a
I
starter
don't.
in this room?
No. Yep, it's a C room. I have it as a C as well.
It's a
I've
C.
done the best that I could. Yeah, I mean, I picked
We
up
have enough
Devin
players
Key
there.
with JL Skinner. I was
Yeah.
kind of lucky there. They both made the active roster. Richie Grant, I think, is probably more valuable than he's perceived as. He's not a starter, but he'll definitely get snaps. Mike Edwards is on the taxi squad. He's a vet. Von Bell, I'm just kind of kicking myself because I made that deal thinking he was going to have 1 year left, and then I could put him back and he would get 6 to 8 points a game, and it just hasn't happened. So that's where it's a mistake I made, and I think I had Andre
Yeah.
Cisco in that spot, and made kind of just a really small deal. Thinking, well, that's kind of a wash between those two, and then I can work on it moving forward. And it just hadn't worked out, so that's a blemish for sure. Overall, I have myself as a five. I think you're probably a little bit lower, but
Yeah, I'm at 4.471 for me.
yeah.
Is
Well, you have
a
me
very good
listed
team
below
for
than
you.
Baltimore BD, so I'm third in the division according to your rankings. I'm at,
I have
and
you
you have me be
below Baltimore BD.
fourth. Oh, okay.
You are.
I have
No, you're
Baltimore
third.
at four point eight five
No, you're
seven
third.
and Prestige Worldwide at 4.857. So, okay.
Yeah,
Well, I
no,
mean
I
that's
have
fair.
Prestige
I
lower.
think I am the second best team in the division,
Lucky
and
for
I'm
you.
going to hang my hat on that and see what happens. I've never been ranked higher than that, so I don't feel as confident this year.
Why not? Why
Well,
not
I mean,
start
it's
now by
fair. It,
ranking
it is what
yourself
it is.
fair?
Like, you have to be honest with your evaluation. Like, you can't grade my safety room, and I think my safety room is, it's generous to give it a C. My tight end room, I was honest. It's like, I think I can score points.
Yeah, but 2 weeks
Right.
ago
Well,
I didn't see all the cuts. Had I, you might have gotten one of my
yeah,
few
but
Ds I've given
yeah,
out for.
yeah. I've tried
It's
to
gotta
do
be
my
bad to
my
be a
my
D.
best.
And I'm not going to assume the position change, so I'm like, as far as I'm like grading that room, it was with
Yeah, that's fair.
Felipe until he's
I'm happy with the fact that him and Skinner and Devin Key all made their rosters, and that I was watching that on the daily. Castro was the only one that kind of was disappointing, to be quite honest. And of course, Justin Ross. I mean, that's been my biggest bust. Well, dude, we got
Oh,
through it. We got
Justin
through all the
Ross.
divisions. At some point, we're gonna have to put this all in.
Might have been the longest
It might just seem
division
like that
review that
because
we've
we had
done
2 hours of
time-wise,
messing
Mike.
with
So,
technical shit before we
yeah.
got started. But we definitely lost a little steam there, fellas. Yeah, we got to cut it, man. We got
It's
to cut it. Do we
120.
want to do the quarterbacks? We can do it fast. We don't even need to
Can we
talk
do it
about them.
fast? We can do fast,
Um,
right?
let's do it. Let's do it quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
let
gonna go
everyone
quick.
else tell
My
us how
top quarterback
stupid
is
we are.
Patrick Mahomes. I have Josh Allen at number
Go.
2. Listen, here's the deal. It might not be the best fantasy decision. I don't care. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have an MVP season. He always does, and I think he's gonna light it on fire this year. And I'm telling you, they're going to throw the rock differently, and they're going to get a ton of people involved, and he's going to score more points. Josh Allen, I have as number 2. I love everything about that dude. He's so tough. He uses his legs. Uh, he just seems watching the Hard Knocks. It's hard not to like the guy. He's a fucking stud. Lamar Jackson, I'm just always a little bit timid with Mr. Lamar. Like, it's not his playoff performances. Yeah, I mean, he's
You
such a
hated him
stud,
since he
and
was
like
in Louisville.
he's worth every dollar that someone would spend on him. He never disappoints during the regular season. I'm always just a little worried, is he going to get banged up? But he never does it. So I think it's pretty safe to say that out of those top 3, he could have the most points out of anybody again, which is hard to put him at number 3. 4, I have Joe Burrow. I think their offense is just gonna be a necessity, and he's gonna throw the rock as many times as he possibly can in a game, and he's got all the weapons to have a 5,000-yard season and 50 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels, I have at number 5. I do see some regression coming his way. I'm not 100% sold on his health holding up if he continues to run the football the way he does, but he's super slick and he figures a way to do it. I just am not as high on them finishing as a team as much success as they had last year. But he's a stud, dude, and you gotta like him. And he fucking threw the deep ball. He's got Scary Terry back. I think he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback until you see something different. I have my boy Caleb Williams at number 6. I'm telling you right now, he's gonna throw for over 4,000 yards this year. He's gonna throw for over 30 TDs. He's gonna be efficient, and he's gonna use his legs. Probably runs for 400 yards. And I don't think he gets enough credit for the season he had last year, even though his hype was out of this world. I think the Ben Johnson effect will definitely impact him, and I think his future looks bright. I have Jalen Hurts at number 7. He's just not a stats guy other than the touchdowns. I think that he's super consistent, durable. He's a great leader. Love him. He's just not, to me, someone that's going to get to that 450, 500 point threshold. Justin Herbert, we've talked about. I have him as number 8. I like him as a player. Will he be a productive fantasy player is yet to be seen. I do think his weapons are better, and I think he is going to throw the ball a little bit more and use his legs a little bit more this year than he did in the last couple seasons. Baker Mayfield, I have at number 9. Maybe a little bit of a shocker there, but Baker's a fucking stud, and he has all the weapons, and they have a pretty solid offense, and I think he's going to get more and more comfortable in who he is, and I like him as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. CJ Stroud falls into 10 for me. We disagree on this. I think he can kind of regain that form of his rookie season. He has some weapons. I think they're going to have to throw the ball. He might throw the ball 45 times a game.
I
Yeah,
think I had him 12 when I first did it, Corey. I think he was in my top 15, and like I've just watched his own
I
line,
get it.
and
Jordan Love, I have coming at number 11. The dude is pretty good, man. Like, I think he has all the weapons this year. Their offense is going to be tough. I think he has, I think the Packers could win that division. We'll see. But I like him, and I like him long term. Yeah, that's not going to be great.
if they get Micah Parsons,
Brock Purdy, this is the one I struggle with the most. Like, I just don't see it, and I get it, and I just don't know if Brock Purdy is even relevant if he's not in San Francisco. I don't know. I just can't get behind him, but I have to put him up there somewhere because he continues to produce. His wide receiver, George Kittle might, catch the ball 120 times this year and fucking break every NFL record for a tight end. But outside of that, like, it's really unproven with Ayuk being out. I'm just worried about San Francisco, and I would be betting the under on their 10.5 wins. Jared Goff, I have at 13. I think that dude is completely underrated now that he's kind of found his home. That dude can sling the rock, and he has a ton of weapons, and I don't see him trending negative over the next 3 years. Drake May, I see the upside. Bill Simmons is an absolute fucking idiot calling him the next coming of Christ. But he did show some promise last year in a relatively unstable offense. He has more weapons. I have him better than the kid from Denver, and it's not close. I think he's already almost hit his ceiling.
Bo Nix? You think Bo Nix is hit his ceiling? Oh no, Corey. Did we lose you? All right. Well, I think that was his last one. So now I can go on my rant. We'll see if we can get Corey back in a second. So here's where I stand. Quite frankly, I'm going to differ a lot with Corey. I value that I put this exercise forthright specifically because I value rushing quarterbacks more and the floor slash ceiling that goes with that. I'm just gonna be very different on where he's like who's the gamer? Who do you want? Like, dude, I want fantasy points. And if I want fantasy points, I don't want anyone other than Lamar Jackson. He's number one. It's not close. Like, he's the cheat code. He's got the body of work. I don't care about. I'm not gonna take injury. Everyone's waiting to be an injured man. Kirk Cousins tore an Achilles, like, running out of the pocket. Like, I don't. Anybody's going to get hurt. It can happen all the time. This isn't the days of RG3 where people didn't know how to protect themselves. I just think you got to take what's in front of you, and that's why Lamar is one, and then I have the Josh Allen number two. And the Bills, like, that's those guys, their combination of throwing skills and what they're going to run, how much they're going to score. I want that for the next 3 years. After that, I have Jaden Daniels very high at number 3. And that is, again, because I think, like, maybe even his playmaking ability that he had to do last year is just a floor model of, like, that he can get to the Lamar Jackson. Like, nobody can get to the Lamar Jackson 560, 570, whatever they're at, except for somebody like Josh Allen. Nobody else has the running ability, or nobody takes a game over on their own shoulders other than that. And then the next player I have is the only person who has so much planned running on the goal line that it makes sense, which is Jalen Hurts. And I know, is Jalen Hurts the number 4 best quarterback in the NFL? I'm not saying that. Is he the number 4 best quarterback for fantasy? Yeah, I think he is. And it's because if you're going to get the first and goal carries on the one over and over and over again, it's going to work in your favor. He gets rushing yards, but he just gets that touchdown base. I think he's going to have a great year this year. Like, I think he's going to finally be healthy. I think he's going to get great passing yards. And I think they're just going to continue to be explosive. All those teams do have great offensive lines. I have named so far. This team does not have a great offensive line. The Cincinnati Bengals. And I have them neck and neck with Patrick Mahomes. That's where I put these guys. I put them next. I think just their line is getting better, and if they can get it even better by next year and they can protect them, great. The one thing I do know for fantasy is that the Bengals don't have a defense. If the Bengals don't have a defense, what is Joe Burrow going to have to do? Score 40 points. Okay, so he's not going to run. He's not going to get a lot of rushing TDs. But he can certainly lead the league in passing by a margin that is, like, quite a bit. And I kind of see that happening. and I don't see their defense, getting better to where they're like, cool, we can win 24-17 now. So that's why I have him over Mahomes. And then after that, I have Mahomes. I agree with everything Corey's saying. I think this year, this specific year, he's going to have an MVP season. He might even be top 3 in fantasy football scoring this year. I don't think them as a team are building themselves to like allow him to have these high ceilings of fantasy football output year in, year out. I think they're going to have something to prove this year. But as they start to evolve, I mean, Mahomes is so good at playmaking outside of the pocket with his passing skills and in the pocket. Like, it just doesn't need to run like he used to. He runs smart. He doesn't run reckless. He thinks more about himself, and he's like, that takes a lot of that upside out. So, the Bucks, I crazily have after that. It's very similar because I just think they're going to have so much. If they keep the Liam Cohen like scheme going, they're just going to continue to throw these incredible. Like, and Baker's scored, like, I always have to double take how many points he scored last year as a pocket passer, but he will still scramble. He'll get some TDs, and Buka's there now, and so like I think their McMillan will come back. They'll be good. Like, I think they're just going to continue to be strong for the next 3 years. After that, number 8, I have. He's not here yet to see it, but I do have Corey's Bears. I am going to bet on Ben Johnson and what he does as far as offense is concerned. And I know Caleb can scramble much more than Goff or any guys he's had in the past. So, like, I could very much see Caleb in the next 3 years having, like, just an incredible floor. And, if it doesn't work out, you will kind of know after this year. But I think if you're going to assume that Ben Johnson is good and he can do what he should do with Caleb, like, you got to have him up here. I have Bo Nix number 9, and Corey, I know as much as he says he hates him, Bo Nix runs a lot, and I don't think people really realize how much he scrambles by design, how much they'll probably run him similarly, like probably those peak Aaron Rodgers days where you used to just run bootlegs and score lots of touchdowns that way. And they're gonna pass a lot to the backs, get easy, cheap yards that way. So I think Sean Payton is gonna do Sean Payton things for the next 3 years, and that's always explosive. And his passer always passes for a lot of yards. It's the way that offense works. After that, I have Jared Goff and the Lions, even without Ben Johnson. With Ben Johnson, I'd have him way higher, but 3 years, he will probably start declining by the third year, but I just think he's going to be still good. They'd keep adding talent. Tesla looks amazing. So I just think they're just going to continue to be crazy explosive. He's going to have the options. He doesn't have that rushing upside, but I think he's still going to, he's a shoo-in for 4,000 yards every year, and it's not much is going to change, I don't think. I have the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy next, and he is going to run some. That's going to save a lot of it. I know they're going to want to run a lot more, but there's only one team who has the most passing yards in the last 3 years, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. And the reason that being is because it doesn't matter what quarterback you have, Kevin O'Connell is throwing a lot. He wants more plays, he's going to throw a lot, and he's going to have great designs to get people in space. He's done it with every quarterback. He's not going to just suddenly just allow, it's like, okay, JJ, just throw for, 15 passes for 160. It's just not going to happen. It's in the gut nature of Kevin O'Connell to throw the ball. He's not going to be able to not do it. He's got Justin Jefferson, Addison, Thielen for the short term. Like I think they have some guys that'll be good in the future, but like T.J. Hawkinson, they got backs that catch. I just think people just don't understand how many passing yards the Vikings have had. They've led in passing the last 3 years and been at the bottom in rushing, and that's just because of the way that Kevin runs those offenses. He did it with Kirk, did it with Darnold, did it with Dobbs, and so my Kool-Aid isn't just about how amazing McCarthy can be. I think McCarthy can just be an average QB, and he will be in this spot. If he's great, then he'll be way higher than this next year. Number 12, I have the Packers. You know, it's funny, Corey was talking about it, but like they just have a very young team. I think Matt Golden's going to be great, and you know, we'll see. Like I think Love, unless he has some weird, real far regression, I think they're just great offensive coordinator. They're going to throw a lot. Going to be explosive offense, good offensive line, and you know, he should be able to put up the points. He'll run some, but I think that's a good one to have. And then the Patriots, Drake May, I do like his upside. I do like that also he's runs, but they're really stacking that team up to play well. I wouldn't put him higher just because I think Vrabel's a run-first guy, so I don't think they're going to have tendencies to air it out as much. I have considered moving him out of here, but like because I have these other rookies ahead of him, I felt like I had to put him somewhere as a dynasty prospect for fantasy. I think he'll scramble and run enough to where he'll make it up, but like if we look 3 years down the road and he wasn't top 15, I wouldn't be so shocked because we would just simply say, well, it's Mike Vrabel, and he didn't want to pass that much. After that, I have the 49ers, just because Kyle Shanahan, same thing with his offense. This is like probably more of a dig on my belief in Brock Purdy in general, but they'll throw the ball. They'll get open. They'll get points. Kittle's probably got, 2-3 more seasons in him, and Pearsall should be great. I mean, I think this is more offensive based than me believing in Brock Purdy, but putting him at 14 isn't flattering anyone. So, but yeah, that's why I have him. And at 15, I took a lot of people off this list that you could argue for it, but I'm really interested in Michael Penix Jr. I think he can be like an elite pocket passer. I think he's going to have weapons, and if he can get picks on track, I think he'll have the ability to run 4,500 passing yards similar to Baker. It might take him more time. It might be like a 3,800 passing yards this year into like something more explosive next year. But for the next 3 years, I think there's just a lot to like there with what they have. The infrastructure, the offensive line's good. They got Bijan, catch out of the backfield, and then, good wide receivers. So that's my take. And that's the top 15. We lost Corey. Now he lost his computer with the battery. And no problem, because we all need to get to bed. And I want to thank you all for making it this late. We needed to get this out to you guys. We're already planned for a second part of this podcast where we talk more about the fantasy implications of all the camp news, and obviously we'll come back and see some of the reviews of what we talked about and what we thought from the draft and like where we are now. So lots more content to come. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Sorry, got a little dull and lull in the end. We just had a long run of technical difficulties to start it out, but we're looking forward to the next one, and we will see you guys in chat and next week.